first thing that we typically do for our council meeting sounds, we start with the singing of the national anthem. So I'd like to now call forward Lori. We've got, I'm sorry, what do we got here? Carlo, the signal? Here at the city, we typically have a hard copy, and now we're going to our iPad system. So this is our first meeting. It's a little bit of crossover, so I apologize. Normally I have a hard copy here to read. So let me read a little bit about Carlo. Apologize for the confusion, Carlo. Carlo was born September 8th, 2002. So he's going to be 15 years old in a few weeks. He's in grade 8 at St. Francis Secondary School in St. Catharines, and he has an older and younger brother. He's been passionate about music since the moment he was in the womb. His parents knew he'd be a musician one day. He's been studying voice for several years with Sandra Mason, and he's so happy to sing this evening as his voice finally stopped changing. He's currently studying grade 7 music. He's currently studying grade 7 voice RCM. Not sure, what's RCM?
Royal Conservatory.
Royal Conservatory of Music, okay. He's also taking piano lessons, and he's completed his grade 6 Royal Conservatory of Music. Carlo loves to read, play basketball, swim, and has recently joined a running club. Carlo has also participated in many community music festivals, winning several scholarships and awards. He sang with the Niagara Symphony Orchestra in 2015 and with the Young Voices Niagara. He's honored to have received the highest mark in Ontario in 2015 for the work he did on one of his Royal Conservatory of Music voice exams. Carlo, welcome to Niagara Falls. We look forward to you starting whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. Car ton bras se porte l'épée, il se porte la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Carlo, on behalf of the city, I want to say well done, congratulations, and I didn't want to add any pressure before you started, but as far as I recall, he's the first male to sing, is that right? So I didn't want to say anything with the voice crack and talk and all that, but congratulations and well done. Great job. Thank you. Okay, as we're working through our new agendas, ask everyone to be a little bit patient with us. First order of business is the adoption of the minutes from both the July 11th and 20th meetings. Moved by Councilor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councilor Campbell. If there's no issues to discuss, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Thank you. Next up, disclosures of pecuniary interest. Councilor Morocco and Pietrangelo.
Right. Yes, Your Worship. I have two checks to declare. Check number 406619 made out to my spouse, and check number 405967 made out to myself to attend FCM.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Pietrangelo.
Thanks, Your Worship. Check 00092-0004 made out to Niagara Catholic District School Board, my employer.
Good memory. Councilor Carrier.
Thank you, Worship. On planning matter AM 2017-006, zoning bylaw amendment application by Mr. Hawkswell. Mr. Hawkswell and I are partners on another business venture. Nothing to do with this, but on another day.
Thank you. Councillor Craven.
Under municipal accounts, check number 00092-004, payable to the Niagara Catholic School Board, member of my family is employed there. As well, under municipal accounts, check 406253, payable to myself for services. And finally, under bylaw 2017-97, the bylaw involves the Niagara Catholic District School Board, and my family works there as well.
Okay. There's no further disclosures. I've got one for check number 405910, check made out to myself as well. Okay, now we'll move on to our deputations and presentations agenda. First up, we have Jason Maves, our 2017 Invictus Games participant. Is Jason here? Okay, right there. Okay. So Jason, if I can get you to come on up just through there and meet me up here. Good. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit about Jason. We're giving a special presentation to Jason tonight, and I'll first do the read-up, and then I'll explain the certificate and the little bit of swag that we're going to be giving him. Jason's a Niagara Falls native. Jason Maves, a retired military veteran and a former City of Niagara Falls employee, will be competing on behalf of Canada at the 2017 Invictus Games. Jason will be participating in archery, track and field in both 100 and 200 meter, and shot put and wheelchair rugby. The Invictus Games are the only international sporting event for wounded, injured, and sick servicemen and women. Created by Prince Harry, the first Invictus Games took place in London, England in 2014. The 2017 Games will take place in Toronto from September the 24th through the 30th, 2017. And Prince Harry will be attending the opening ceremonies on September the 23rd. The Games will include 550 competitors from 17 allied nations participating in 13 adapted sports. Jason has received a spot on Team Canada and is excited about the growth of the Games. Of the 2,000 active duty and veteran service members, only 90 athletes were selected to represent Canada at the Games this fall. The Invictus Games are an example of overcoming adversity and triumphing against all odds. The Games shine a spotlight on the sacrifices these men and women made during serving their country and their indefatigable drive to overcome. To bring attention to the 2017 Toronto Games, Jason will ride through Niagara Falls at a later confirmed date. A celebratory barbecue will be hosted at the Service Center for the city on Thursday, August the 24th at noon to raise funds and awareness for the Invictus Games. Jason is breaking ground for active and veteran service members with disabilities. He embodies the Invictus Games motto, I am, which was inspired by the final two lines of the poem Invictus, penned by English poet William Ernest Henley. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. We'd like to congratulate Jason on his athletic and personal success, along with his outstanding achievements, and wish him all the best at the Invictus Games in September. Congratulations. So the first thing we have for you is a certificate on behalf of City Council and the residents of Niagara Falls. We're very, very proud of you. So just a little keepsake for you. Maybe the Prince can sign that too, possibly. Sure. And as well, this is a City of Niagara Falls backpack, which has a little bit of fun swag inside. And maybe, I don't know, you can take this to the games or not, but it's just a little something for you. So we'll do a little picture here, if we can. Okay, and would you like to say anything to anybody here?
A lot of these athletes have to overcome a lot of different things, including their injuries. A lot of it has to do with sponsorships and actually their gear and equipment, getting to and from practices and the games. The 90 of us are spread out over a large country, so we don't have the opportunity to play together like some of the other countries do. and they do have a leg up on us in a couple of sports, so we're hoping that just our social media contacts are enough to ride us through.
That's awesome. So remember, everybody, the date again at the Service Center is Thursday, August the 24th at noon. That's on Stanley Avenue. So hopefully all the council and anybody at home watching will come out, we'll join, and we'll support you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Now, there has been a few adjustments in the original agenda, so work with me here. So our next presenter will be Victoria Wixton and Todd Brown to address council on the upcoming September 2017 Niagara Music Festival. So if you'd like to step up to the microphone.
Good evening, Your Worship, City Councilors. Thank you for including us in tonight's docket. It's always an honor to have this platform to share with Council some great events that we have coming to the city and, of course, the Niagara region. Mayor, I haven't seen you since the Niagara Falls Elvis Festival. Thank you again for being our judge. Be happy to know that our winner of the Niagara Falls Elvis Festival placed in the top 10 last week in Memphis.
Wow.
And Graceland has sanctioned us for year 2. So thank you very much.
Fantastic. Congratulations. And on that note, I do want to mention, for anyone that likes Elvis, these impersonators were unbelievable, and I was one of the guest judges, and it was so difficult because each one I thought, now that's a dead ringer. And then the next one comes up, you're like, no, that's a dead ringer. Then the next one comes, you're like, and it was so difficult to choose. They were phenomenal. So it's such a, if you get a chance, this is absolutely top drawer. It was as real as I think as it's going to get without the real thing, but well done at the Fruin Theater. If you get a chance, it was a sold out crowd, but you want to take it in next year. It was such a high caliber show. Well done.
And for our inaugural event to have our champion place in the top 10, never happened before, so we're very excited.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was like a fish out of water, eh? You didn't know which way to go?
No.
Yeah. Tonight, I'm here with my event colleague and partner, Shane Christopher Neal. He is representing Todd Brown. We're here to represent the Niagara Music Week. It's happening September 24th to September 30th. This is a really cool event. It's not the first time it's happening here in Niagara Falls or the Niagara region. In fact, it's going on its 10th year. And my job here tonight is just to bring forefront the event. Some of you have already attended, some of you have supported, but we officially wanted to make a presentation to council. The Music Week itself is involved in 3 pillars: the awards ceremony, the showcases and conferences, and the finale festival. We bring the best of the musicians here in the Niagara region together, over 12 venues over the Niagara region, a reach of over 100,000 people live with our events. I'm here personally, selfishly, to say that the red carpet affair, the awards, is happening at the Greg Fruin Theater on September 24th. For their 10th anniversary, we felt that we would upgrade the event to be a red carpet affair, and you can, by all means, attend this wonderful gala at our theater. For the rest of the week, I'm going to have Shane speak about everything else that's going on.
All right, thank you. I'm happy to be here on behalf of Todd Brown, and real quick, I represent the BS Live Rocks Entertainment Group. So we're working in partnership with the Niagara Music Awards, Niagara Music Week. I've worked with Todd for a long time. So we help put on a bunch of things, including these showcases. And the idea behind this was, this is the first time ever we are having a Niagara Music Week. It's always been the Niagara Music Awards. People have submitted their nominations. We've had celebrity judges, if you will, and then we've had the awards. So the awards are going to precede all of this. It kind of worked out that we could then promote some of the artists that were nominated or winners throughout these showcases. They are throughout the Niagara region. There's some here in Niagara Falls at the Hard Rock. They go to St. Catharines, Thorold. Are we at enter?
Yeah.
You will see there is one, I think, up there at TAPS. 29th is at TAPS, but there's one at TAPS as well. So the idea was that we wanted to get the whole Niagara region to really bite into the Niagara Music Awards and Niagara Music Week. And we are, for the first time ever, and here's hoping this goes well, we are holding a conference. It's going to be at the Performing Arts Center in St. Catharines. And basically it is, we have 3 panels, and we've got industry people from record labels, Universal, largest record label in the world. We've got people like from Glass Tiger, from the Spoons. We've got front of house guys that run big events in Toronto. We've got songwriters. In fact, we've got someone, Gil Grand, coming down from Nashville to help in our songwriting session. So what we try to do is mix a lot of national and global superstars in what they do with some people here in Niagara and team them up. Our goal is to educate people here in Niagara, to help them learn more, to become better at it. The BS Live Rocks Entertainment Group, the Niagara Music Awards, we're all pushing people forward. We want them to succeed, and we have a great platform here. I will say this, I would love nothing else but to see the Niagara Music Awards, Niagara Music Week have a platform at Springalicious here in Niagara Falls. I attend every year, have our own stage, be able to show off our talent. So that gives you an idea of the showcases and our conference that's going to happen in St. Catharines, and it can happen anywhere. We're growing, so this could happen somewhere here in Niagara Falls next year. We've got some great connections, and we're finally making it happen. And with Todd Brown, I wish he could be here because he's done a lot of work, and Victoria as well.
So already, just in this 10th year, it has morphed from only a few events last year to a total of 11 showcases in the one solid week. So we're very excited about all those different genres, and it doesn't matter if you like country or jazz or something there for everyone. So you definitely need to participate if you can. The festival, I'm going to have Shane speak about this as well because I have yet to attend the actual finale festival. So Shane, once again.
When this was put together, as you probably know, the Well and Food Festival was no more. So there became a new festival called Feast Street. And Lucas Spinoza and Welland was partnered with the whole event, and we worked with Lucas. So we asked him if the Niagara Music Awards could use their festival to platform, or for us to have a platform to show off Niagara talent. So what's going to happen, it's actually over September 30th and October 1st. We have some main stage events happening. We are in control of all the music. Those that were nominated for the Niagara Music Awards, some are obviously going to be winners. And we've got 2 days of music happening at Feast Street. Again, it just seemed to work with the way the week worked to kind of pillar with the festival. But again, this can happen anywhere. And I bring up Springalicious because I think it's a great festival here. I attend every year in Niagara Falls. And we've got so much talent in Niagara Falls and throughout Niagara. And it's our job to kind of get it out there to the people around here. So.
I apologize, I made a mistake. I wrote East Street, thinking Feast Street was a mistake. So it's Feast Street. Thinking I corrected it. So it's Feast Street, not East Street. There you go, my mistake. My apologies. Our organizers, what you need to know, there are 0 paid people on our board of group of volunteers. We are 100% volunteers, each of us coming from our own backgrounds and so forth, and how we can make the event better and so forth. Hey Shane, everybody contributes at their, and a lot of us are contributing our own dollar to the event as well. So why are we here? We just wanted to share with you our current partnerships. You've seen some of them listed there. We're definitely working with our industry, from both tourism to the actual corporate sponsorships as well in the local media. But we need new partnerships. So working as a platform on our 10th anniversary, we want to reach out to all the municipalities, because you saw we have events across basically all 12 municipalities and growing. We want to work with the Niagara region, we want to work with Music Ontario, and even today we had a wonderful conference call with Music Canada and developing and working with their platform and how to make our festival larger and more authentic. Why are we here? What do we want from you? Well, please, I'm not here to ask for money this time. And I'm working in conjunction with Kim Van Sturgeon. Now, she is your newest member of city staff in your arts and cultural department. She is brilliant. She is a fantastic addition to your team. And Kathy, congratulations on your hire. She is simply brilliant in every single word that comes out of that lady's mouth. I'm already working in conjunction with her as to how we can improve the festival together. I'm asking that council sanction the event that we're doing as an official event that supports your arts and culture development for Niagara Falls, and personally promote and attend the events as well. That's the current year. Next year is to kind of work in conjunction with council, with Kim and her team, to see if we can apply for the cultural development fund that you have already in motion for some financial support. That's kind of why we're here, to bring it forefront, to let you know what's happening, to let you know that we're continuing to grow, and in working with your devices already in place, that we hope to have some financial support for next year. Right, Shane?
You got it.
And there you go. How was that? Facts.
Can I just say one more thing or no?
Yeah.
I just want to say, because Victoria is here in Niagara Falls, and we went to her a few months back there, Todd and I, because we had been to the Greg Fruin Theater before to film some television stuff, and she's done a remarkable job. They do a great job at this theater. It's first class. We're so happy for the 10th anniversary that we're actually going to have a full-blown theater to make this event happen. We hope some of you will attend. We have a lot of great talent coming. We got some talent, a lot of talent from Niagara, some talent out of Toronto, and this is going to be definitely our biggest festival and event yet. So I want to thank Victoria because she has worked endlessly to put this on.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
We've got Councillor Morocco like to address.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Victoria, great presentation. Thank you so much. And I have to say that I would like to make the motion to help support them in recognition and promoting them as well.
I have a great picture of you, by the way, from last year's event.
And that's got nothing to do with it because I didn't know that. But anyway, no, and I just have to say that I think, you know what, there's no doubt there is such amazing talent across the Niagara region. And this is a great opportunity to help these individuals be showcased. And I'm glad to say that there's quite a few people from our downtown BIA board for the Springalicious. And I think that maybe we can connect
Some
and
synergy, yeah.
make something happen so that we can work together and make it happen and do that cross promotion to help it get even more recognition. So congratulations to them, and it's always great to have more festivals and to draw more people to the area for things to do. So I fully support that motion.
Did you want that motion? What was that one screen, Victoria? You had a
that's
couple
good.
back?
Parts, it was,
Yeah, you had 3 things, I think, there.
Okay, so that's
That one right there. So is that what you're looking for your support from your
Yes.
city council?
It's very simple.
Okay, so Councillor Morocco, that's the motion, okay? So that's a motion and seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. Is there any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a beautiful night.
Thank you very much.
See you at the wharf.
Okay, next up, I'd like to call up Cameron Goke and Keegan Harries. Hey, Keegan. And Cameron. How you doing? He goes, yeah, nice to meet you. Come on here. Stand turn, we'll face the crowd here. Let me read a little bit about these folks. They're a couple of lifesavers. And this was sent in to us by former city council member Norm Puttick, longtime member of the city hall, city council. Norm and his wife were sitting on a bench at the boat dock in Chippewa, and they witnessed a near drowning. A man in his 20s was calling for help and appeared to be going under in the swift moving water. And for anyone that swam in the creek, they know, and if you live around here, you call it the creek. The water's pretty strong undertow, and if you're not a good swimmer, you could get into trouble pretty quick. Anyway, so the man in his 20s calling for help, looked like he was going under in the swift moving water. So to Norm's left, he saw a young man that he later learned was Cameron Goke. Right? Or to you, okay, no, but wait a minute. He dove in 20 feet from the dock and pulled him to safety. However, what he didn't know, after he spoke with Cameron, and our office actually learned that the act of this young man, Keegan Harries, and I think I saw, is it your grandmother I saw in the audience here? Where is she? Oh, there she is. Karen, who used to work at the city here as well, the CAO office. So apparently Keegan saw the man struggling first, and he started swimming out to rescue him. This is a man, right? Like, he's going out to pull in a full-grown man, So it was only once that happened that Cameron became aware of what Keegan was doing, and he jumped in and took over. And he wanted to make sure that Keegan got the recognition, because if it wasn't for his alerting him, he could never have saved the life of the person that was drowning. And I thought, what a great hero that he wants to make sure that he shares all of the accolades for what a wonderful thing he did. So how about a big hand, folks, for these two heroes? Keegan and Cameron, if they'd like to maybe say a couple of words into the camera. So you're standing there and you see this guy. And what happened?
What happened was this guy was in the water and his brother came over to us and he said that he didn't know how to swim. So first thing that I was thinking about doing was jumping in to rescue the guy, but the guy started pulling me under, then Cameron came and saved not only his life, but mine too.
And you know, that's where you learn this as you go along, right? And you know, a drowning person can drown you, right? Especially, again, if you're not a strong swimmer. Now, are you a swimmer?
Yeah, I'm a very strong.
He's a strong swimmer, but if someone's drowning and they're a lot bigger than you, right, it still makes it difficult. And so, Cameron, what about from your perspective?
It was just like he said it, yeah. It was, didn't have any other option. I didn't know if anyone was coming in after us, or, so we seen him going down, and after seeing him go, I was going too.
Were you ever worried yourself that this could not end well?
Not so much. Once we got in and got to the guy, we knew it was probably gonna end up okay, so.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'll tell you what I've got here. Just a couple of things here. So for Cameron, it's a certificate, personally signed, and it basically recognizes your act of bravery and as a hero. So I'll read it. It says, I'll read yours. On behalf of the members of City Council, it gives me great pleasure to recognize Keegan Harries for your act of bravery by taking action that saved a man's life. You are a hero. It says here, a true hero isn't measured by the size of his strength, but by the strength of his heart. Hercules. So let's get a picture here, guys. Oh, yeah, come on down. Karen, did you want to get a picture up here? Did you want to come up here and get one? No, you're good. She's shy. Oh, no. Grandma hasn't changed. She's still shy. So, Cameron, that's for you. That is a backpack. And for you as well, for back to school, Keegan, there's a bunch of cool stuff that you can use for back to school. If anybody asks about that, you can tell them why you got it.
Thank you.
Congratulations, buddy. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Or do you want to just, do you have a presentation from it?
Yes, sir. No one to talk about. No, I can just, or you could read.
Why don't you read? I can. Okay. Okay, now, we'll just wait for these, our heroes here. Have a hero's exit. Now, for our next deputation, Light of Day, Dave Rotella is not currently here. We're not sure if he's in transit or what the status is. So what we're going to do, folks, anyone that's participated in Light of Day for Parkinson's research, there is a request, and the event is coming up. So our clerk is going to run through the presentation, and then council can decide what direction they want to take.
So through you, your worship, I just want to point out to council that the ask that was submitted by Dave Rotella on behalf of Light of Day is on page 21 of your printed council agenda. And it's really the next few pages in your agenda is the sponsorship package. So what they're looking for is, I'm not going to go through the whole presentation. The ask is for the city to assist them in their cost of bringing a world-class music act to Niagara for the annual Light of Day Foundation for Parkinson's Research and Care. And as you'll see in the attachment, the writer Dave suggests that we give all of our profits directly to the communities we hold concerts in, including Niagara Falls, to the Steve Ludzik Foundation. And they're looking for a city sponsorship to offset the cost of the music act here in Niagara, which will enable us to give more money back to the community for Parkinson's research and care. Through the mayor, you could consider this now. You could list this later in the agenda under communications. It's up to the will of council.
So I think he was hoping that we would consider, as we've done for some other events, taking a table at his event. So I don't know if council wants to proceed that way or how you'd like to handle it. Well, they have no, when we spoke, Dave and I, he was asking what council typically does. I says, we don't sponsor events, but occasionally we will buy a table at an event to support it in that way.
Maybe we could just wait if Dave gets here and maybe we can make a decision. Is he not coming? Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to purchase a table if that's available.
Okay, okay. Yes, Councillor Campbell? Okay, so we have a motion by, yes, Councillor Carrier.
Just a quick comment, Your Worship, about sponsoring tables. Should we be making a donation in place of sponsoring a table? I know it's just the same amount of money, but if we sponsor a table and then none of the councillors are able to attend, the particular event still has to pay for all of the dinners. So if it's something that no one's gonna go to, sometimes we'd be better off to make a donation as opposed to sponsoring a table. So maybe they get 100%
Right.
of the money, rather than getting half of the money for a dinner that we didn't take advantage of. So it's just a thought to throw out there. I just thought about that.
No, that's
after the
actually a very good thought.
The
You're
last
right.
event, we always buy tables, and the organizers have to pay for the dinner, whether or not we use the table or not. If we want to make a contribution, they get 100% of the contribution without paying the dinner fee.
Now, I don't believe there's dinners at this event, I don't believe.
Okay, well, I can amend the first motion to that.
So the value of a
The
table?
value of a table, yeah.
Okay, okay. Are you comfortable with that as a seconder? Okay, so a motion to support Light of Day with the value equivalent to a table purchase. Okay, any questions about the motion? Okay, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous, so we're good on that one. Okay. Okay. Which one am I on here? Okay. Okay, Celebrate Old Downtown Community Cooperation. Karen Stern, the Celebrate Old Downtown Chair, will inform council of a number of street events planned through 2017 to promote the downtown core. Karen, welcome.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, thank you for the invitation tonight. I would like to introduce Mike Kemp. So Gus Macker Canada has brought something to Celebrate Old Downtown, and we're really excited. As you know, Celebrate Old Downtown, our mission really is to do more events and to provide more entertainment and link the Arts and Culture District of Queen Street together. For me, from my other job, I'm just happy to include more events that are around health and physical activity. So for us, this was a perfect opportunity. So I'd like to introduce Mike Kemp, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about Gus Macker Canada.
You can do the video now.
So I think that if we could do the video first, that would, press to play. So,
I think she's got it.
okay, awesome.
Hey everybody.
All right.
All right, I didn't make the
I'm
video.
ready.
Everybody get up.
If you won't mind just hitting the exit button on the keyboard there.
Exit.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. And you can get me back to the presentation, I guess.
And if you want to use the arrow keys on the keyboard, you can go back and
Yep.
forth through the streams.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. I'll briefly introduce this. I've been playing in the Gus Macker personally for the last 12 different years. It's the biggest 3-on-3 basketball tournament in the United States. They travel all around the United States. It brings a ton of people together throughout the communities. And they just put on an amazing event for all ages. I mean, I'm 33 years old and I'm still playing in them. And you've got kids that are 8 years old playing in them. So it really is a great event that they put on throughout the weekend. Brings a lot of spectators to the weekend as well, not just the participants. And it's something that I've always wanted to bring into Niagara Falls, particularly because I remember playing in a 3-on-3 basketball tournament when I was a kid on Queen Street, and you just don't have any more 3-on-3 basketball tournaments that are around. So 2 weekends ago, I had to travel to Norwich, New York to play in one of these things. So there's nothing locally. So the ultimate goal is to bring a local tournament to Niagara with all of the proceeds going to charity. Let's do that. So this is essentially what Gus Macker is. I mean, the original Gus Macker, his name is Scott McNeil. They call him Gus Macker. He started this tournament in 1974 with 18 of his buddies, and they just essentially played on his front driveway. And it's now grown into over 10,400 players participated in the first year. And this thing has gotten up, in its heyday in Ontario, they did used to have a tournament in London, Ontario. They had 1,600 teams that would participate on the same weekend every summer in London, Ontario. So that's the ultimate goal that we're going to try to get to here in Niagara. I already did that. So the value to our city, in the first year, what we're really focusing in on and trying to get to is 250 teams for the first weekend. But the ultimate goal is to get up to 1,000 teams in the next 5 to 7 years. And when we say we bring in 1,000 teams, there's 4 players per team. Plus you've got an additional probably 10 people that come with each team with parents, siblings, friends, spectators that just want to watch the event. And throughout the weekend of the event, there's much more than basketball that's going on. So a lot of the stuff that's around the city will be utilized. Again, when I envisioned this tournament, it was always on Queen Street because this is what Niagara Falls is. This is where everything happens, and it's such a great venue for it. It's close to the falls. It's close to great venues, and the way that everything is set up with the 250 team tournament, we're really going to utilize the downtown floor, which is great. The 2 charities that are going to benefit from this is the Ronald McDonald House of Central Ontario. I'm a board member of the Ronald McDonald House, so it's dear to my heart, as Mike, you know. And Heart Niagara. It's just a great organization. It promotes sport and activity and healthy living, and that's all what Gus Macker is about. So what we're asking for from you is the cost to be waived on any permits associated with street closures, help managing the streetscape parking permits, and help with some business development and team participation. The biggest thing for us this year, guys, is team registration. We need to get up to 250 teams. That's the goal. Tournament doesn't run unless we have teams, right? So as much as we can get the word out there that this is going on, Gus Macker is back in Canada. It hasn't been in Canada in 10 years, so this is the inaugural year for us, and it's the first time back in the country for many, many years. So hopefully we can start to build on this thing for the years to come. And here are some of the major sponsors that we've got on board so far. We're continually looking for sponsorship. Those are the main 2 things: registration names and sponsorship dollars coming in. And that's it.
That's great, councilors. Okay, I've got Councilor Strange and Morocco.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to congratulate you before the event because I know it's going to be very successful, but thank you for bringing this to the forefront in Niagara Falls, which is awesome, and for 2 great causes, especially downtown. It's going to be awesome. The 3-on-3 tournament and we're playing when we were kids. I just wondered, is there any way that we could, is there a D division that we could put a team in?
Yeah, there is. There's all
Councilor Cario, Thompson, and maybe our CEO who can captain the team. There's a chance we can.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
So is there how much is a team?
It's $116 US per team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe if I put a motion that we can at least put at least 1 team anyways, I don't know.
Are you going to be on it? Is
You
there
gotta
age
lead it.
restrictions?
CEO's gotta lead it. We could
Former
probably-
all-Ontario
we could
champion.
probably
I know,
call
there's
the
a lot
Jay
of
Tran,
basketball
see if we can
people
fly
in
him in for the event, but
When we get Mike on your team, he's an all-star.
I've been asked to play on 5
sure.
teams. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time to play, so unfortunately.
Is there a master's division too, or no?
There's every different, so when you're signing up a team, they actually go into what your age is and what level that you played at. So Gus, that's the reason why we wanted to partner with Gus Macker, not just because of the branding, but the way they organize and run the tournament is they will schedule the divisions to accommodate the different skill levels. So you won't play against the guy that's just coming out of college ball. You'll play against guys that haven't played for quite some time, but played at a decent level, and the competition will be pretty good.
I'll tell you what, I'll put a motion in that we put in a team, but we scout maybe a couple of high school basketball players. Maybe Ken Todd can lead us on that, so we can do that.
So we've got a motion by Councilor Strange, second by Councilor Morocco, that we put in a team and we do some heavy recruiting. Is that what you're saying? Okay, Councilor Morocco?
Sorry, before I make the second, I'm all for supporting the cost and permits associated with street closure, help manage the streetscape and parking permits. Is that okay, that that's something that we as a city can participate in? It's staff time?
I don't
It's
see
okay.
that, what day is that?
So the only thing that I am asking for, what would be the cost and help with business development team participation? Are you looking for some financial cost in that? No, just Ken?
Thanks.
Oh, and thank you, by the way, it's a great fit, Park Niagara and kids, it's great.
Thank you. So the business development piece is just looking to work more with the business development department of the city, because we recognize over the next 5 years, we think it's very doable to get to 1,600 teams, which would be an, impact that weekend, which is a soft weekend in Niagara Falls, of over another $2 million. So the business development piece is really, how do we do more? Gus Macker comes to us with the infrastructure. So this is a piece we don't even have to worry about. We know it's an excellent 5-star tournament to start with. We just need to get the word out, but we also are going to have to be able to handle the infrastructure of 1,600 teams in 5 years. Very doable.
Yeah, I think it's great, and then there's not a huge financial obligation on our part other than our staff helping, and I appreciate the fact that we're volunteering our staff to do that. So I would make that motion, and as well, put a team in. Is that okay, Mike, if we add that to the whole entire motion? If that's fine?
Yeah, and just for clarity, now, business development, are you talking about marketing promotion through the city and our avenues of marketing?
Yes, down there, just looking at corporate sponsorships over the next 5 years, but even in this year, just getting the word out about the fact that downtown is really about, positive physical activity and how to communicate better within our community around great events that bring us together.
Okay, good. So both business development and through our communications, we can help promote the event. Our city website has a lot of viewings and things like that. So that's great. So we've got the motion by Councilor Strange, second by Councilor Morocco, that we put in a heavily recruited team, that we help with the, cover the costs and permits associated with street closure, managing streetscape, parking permits, our business development and communications, and that motion is moved and seconded. If there's, do you have comments? Yes?
Have we added the defibrillator to that?
I'll bring one with me.
Yeah, it's Heart Niagara. I hope they have one. Yeah. Okay, we'll call that vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Great,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is regarding disabled warning signs. Vanessa Cohens will address council with a special request for a traffic warning sign for autism awareness.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm Vanessa. Nice to see some of you again. We just started a Special Olympics team in Niagara Falls. We have our first ever soccer team, so some of you came out to support us, so thank you, and thanks for having me. Again, I made some notes, if that's okay. Can I use this one?
Yeah, you can use either
okay.
one, as long as the
Thank
light's
you.
on, little red light's on.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Vanessa. First and foremost, I'm a mom. I'm a mom to 3 beautiful kids, Owen, Maddie, and Ben. And Owen and Ben both have a diagnosis of autism. I also work for Autism Ontario. I am their adult support coordinator for the Niagara chapter, and I also recently am the community events coordinator for Niagara, Hamilton, Norfolk, Brant, Everywhere. So I do this professionally. I've done this for 10 years, advocating for the population with developmental disabilities, and I am a mom number one. Why am I here? So in 2012, I realized that especially my older son, who is affected by autism more severely than my youngest son, didn't understand traffic safety. And as much as I am a parent and I try really hard, he was young and would run into traffic on our street. I tried leashes, I tried everything, and it just wasn't enough. So I came to the city and I said, okay, I need a sign. I need something, hopefully, that will caution drivers that there is a child who is disabled on this street. City was wonderful enough to give me a disabled child in area sign, which I thought was great, and it is great. I also travel around the Niagara region, and I saw that there were specific signs when it came to having an autism disability. What is autism? If you don't know, I will tell you, autism is a neurological disorder. It affects the functioning of the brain. It has a behavioral impairment, it has a communication impairment, and it has a social impairment. So that means people, regardless if you're a child or you're an adult, you have a hard time making friends sometimes. You have a hard time relating to people. You might do repetitive behaviors, and you might not be able to talk at all. And if you do, you might need pictures to talk. It's called a spectrum. So we could have people who are severely affected, and then we have people who are mildly affected, but it's all the same diagnosis. I wanted to read you some facts about autism. That 1 in 94 children, according to Autism Ontario, are diagnosed here in Ontario. The prevalence has increased 100% in the last 10 years. Autism is the fastest growing and most commonly diagnosed neurological disorder in Canada. People with autism also experience anxiety, atypical sensory responses, so that can mean you have a reaction to these lights in this room. There's too many people in this room, or there's really, really weird sounds and your brain can't handle them. Also impulsivity, which means just like running into the street. Maybe they're great for 50% of the time, for 60% of the time, but maybe they really love golden retrievers and they can't stop running across that road. In Ontario, there's an estimated 100,000 individuals with autism, and Niagara has one of the highest rates in Ontario with autism. My last fact is that there's no cure. So once you are diagnosed with autism, autism is life. You have it until you're not here anymore. What would this sign accomplish? Why I'm here is to have an autistic child in area sign or autistic person in area sign, because like I said, it is lifelong. With education and work in our city of Niagara Falls, and I will be the first on your ballot if you need someone to go and educate, I believe that our community would have more understanding about someone in their area that might be affected. Signs, though, may not be able to force a driver to slow down, might not be able to force a driver to take more precaution. As a parent, I believe that it would at least give us more of a sense that we did something more. In my neighborhood alone, we have 3 families with autism, us being one of them. Also, at the end of our street, I live on Harper Drive in Niagara Falls. Behind us is Bellevue. We have a group home that is filled with older men that have severe autism. It's everywhere in our community. All of these individuals, including my family and the people who live in the group home, I'm lucky enough to see them walk by my house every single day. They walk, they ride their bikes. It's a wonderful community, but I also see people speeding as well. For my son in particular, I can trust him. That trust fades, like I said, with impulsivity and anxiety, and sometimes emotions take over and they have a hard time controlling their emotions. If they're angry or they're sad, or they just are so happy that that dog is across the street and they need to run. Having a standardized sign would also assist drivers with consistency. For example, when I received my sign in 2012, my sign on Harper Drive says disabled child in area. I have another family that are affected as well, have 2 sons, and they live near Kaler Road, and their sign says hearing impaired child. And they're not hearing impaired, they have autism. So even consistency in signs would help as well. Several parents, support workers, teachers, and members of in the cities in our region sent me pictures of their autistic child in area signs all around the region. So we are the only city in all of our region of Niagara that doesn't have this sign. If you drive in Thorold, St. Catharines, Fawn Hill, Welland, Port Colborne, Waynfleet, Grimsby, they all have this sign. We're the only ones that don't. Not all of the points that I have stated, but it will give parents like myself a little more sense of security that we took every precaution we could, that we are keeping our children safe. In all the research I've done, because I did some research before I came as much as I could, it states the same, that the caregiver is the primary and vital role in the protection of children on their street and should teach their children road safety. Where I completely understand these remarks, and I do agree with them. Being a parent, I'm also a parent to a typical child as well. My daughter does not have autism. Our autism population, more often than not, does not fit in this mold, and we do require more alertness and more education. Next steps. I've met with the Director of Transportation Services, Carl, and he was wonderful. Full-heartedly agree with the proposal of the signage that you have in front of you. I stated that I believe families that require the sign would have no issue providing documents. If a family needs this sign, they will come to you needing the sign. You're not going to have families that want the sign to be the popular family on the street with the autism sign. When we request these signs, it's because they are needed for the safety of our children, regardless of age. I believe for consistency, for inclusion, for more sense of security, and for safety. I also have some quotes I wanted to read you from other parents, not in our city, parents from other cities that have signs. I asked them if it would be okay, and they let me, so I'm not sharing anything that's a secret. My friend Amy, she has a son, Brady, who has autism, from Fawn Hill. She told me it provides a sense of security and a constant reminder on both ends of the street. It provides our neighbors with a daily reminder of our son that he lives nearby. They're aware of his safety. For cars passing through, it hopefully alerts them to simply be aware of their speed in a residential neighborhood. Selma from St. Catharines has twins, and one of her twins has severe autism. We were offered 2 signs, one on either end of our entrance of our street. It makes us feel like our city cares about my son's safety. And I want to tell you from Sarah from St. Catharines. A sign helps facilitate the understanding and create the opportunity for further conversation. It reminds others of the sensitivity and awareness of living in a community. So I just wanted to end with, I believe for consistency and for inclusion and for the safety, that these proposed signs would be a great benefit to our city and personally to my family. And I want to thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Vanessa. I'm going to first ask Carl Dren, our Director of Transportation, if he wants to address the report. There's a report in your agenda tonight, TS 2017-31, and then I've got Councillor Iannoni, Cario, and Crater that would like to speak to it as well. So,
thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the wonderful comments. I guess in looking at the situation we have, when you look at the signs that are on the screen there, you can see that there's a lot of worded signs there. And when we did some investigation and we looked around other municipalities, there are other municipalities that have various types of signs out there. We, as a transportation department, we look at manuals and policy, and there is no policy for disabled advisory signs, whether it be physical or non-physical type of disability. And therefore, what we're proposing is something that is new, something that is recognizable. And so what it does is, even if you don't read the wording underneath when you're a driver, and that's the challenge. When you're a driver, there's all kinds of words on the street. And when you see this sign, all you're seeing is a yellow sign, and sometimes you pick up the words and sometimes you don't. And so when we put this together, we said, okay, what's recognizable to people? And so therefore we came up with this sign. And it's our proposal to put it out on a trial basis for a year, and then come back to council and seek, if it's successful, to seek final approval. And what this does is it standardizes the look around the city. It standardizes it for the driver. So even if they're not reading the message below, they're seeing the symbol, and we're hoping that they take some precautionary action. That's not a guarantee. It's not a regulatory sign. It's a warning sign. It's an advisory sign. And it's up to the driver to make their choice when they're driving. And Vanessa recognizes that. So what we're trying to do is make something that's standard, that the driver can recognize. And so therefore, that's what I'm asking in the report, that we do this. And in addition, staff will come up with a one-page request form, because part of the problem too with the signs is people move. And when people move, the signs stay there. And so we want to introduce a follow-up procedure too. We'll follow up with the families and say, you know, every year or 2 years, are you still there? If they're not, we'll remove the sign, because again, you want it to be legitimate, and you want, so you want people that are actually requesting it still to be there. So that's part of the follow-up process. So that's what I'm asking for tonight, is an approval of this style sign, and that we would come back in a year and we would evaluate it and hopefully say yes, it meets our needs.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Carl. Okay, Councillor Ioannoni, then Kerrio, and then Crater.
Thank you. I'm glad to see that the report has changed from the June 13th report. I'm glad to see that we're advocating and recommending it. And you did a fantastic presentation. Not only are you lucky to have your children are lucky to have you as a mom also, as is the autism community. And this is a no-brainer for us, because the safety of all kids is paramount around here. So I have no problem making the motion that we pass the recommendations and implement the new signs.
Thank you. Councillor Kerrio.
Councillor Ioannoni took the words right out of my mouth. It was a fabulous presentation. I can't see anyone not supporting this. My question was going to be, I'm assuming that we'll do this and promote it. There's no other sign that catches my attention as much as some of these signs. When I'm driving down the street and I see a sign like this, and there's many in many different cities, there's no other sign that catches my attention more than this. I can't imagine how bad you would feel if you were speeding down the street, you saw that sign, and a young person ran out in front of you and you had an accident. So this sign catches everyone's attention. My question was going to be, or is there anything we can do to ask, if this sign is being displayed in a neighborhood, can we get the fines for speeding doubled where there's an area that displays these signs? Is there anything else we can do like that? You see that sign, fines for speeding doubled in construction zones and things like that. Is there anything we can do where we would have these signs in place in our city, where we could post that type of a sign along with it, where you would really get someone's attention that if someone was speeding in an area where these signs are, that the fines would automatically be doubled?
Mr. Dren?
Through the mayor, again, as I indicated, these are warning signs and not regulatory. So they're not like a speed limit sign. You know, when you look at it, we do have fines that are doubled in the city. They're in community safety zones that are established. This would not be part of it. A community safety zone is around schools and so on, and we have them on Kaler Road is one of them. On McLeod Road is another one, which is a community safety zone. So this is a little bit different, and I think that's why we're going to monitor it. We're going to look at the way drivers drive when this sign is in there. We'll check speeds, see if it's really having an impact. Again, it's a warning sign, not a regulatory sign.
You seconding this, by the way? Okay. Councillor Crater.
Thank you, Worship. Congratulations, Vanessa.
Thank you.
I also want to say congratulations to Mr. Dren. Initially, when this report was coming through to council a few months ago, the recommendation was not to put up signs. And Vanessa and I had been working on this for a while. I do want to share with you, and I've told Vanessa this story, I knew the word autism. I knew it. But it wasn't until I became a provincial member of parliament and families were coming in for help, for assistance, and you had the opportunity to meet the families and the children, and you went out to their homes, and you got to understand autism in the real world, not just in terms of the word itself. And as you said, there's high functioning, low functioning, and I realized how passionate and how caring parents are when it comes to autistic children or ADHD children. And so the importance of the sign isn't just for safety, it's also for the importance for the family to know that there's something out there to let the public know. I think it's outstanding that Mr. Dren took a second look at this report. And I am extremely pleased that, and I know Vanessa is because we both were there and we met with Carl and he made the presentation to Vanessa. But I really like the idea of the initial sign at the top, the disability sign, which will catch people's attention when you're driving down the road. I know Alderman Carrier mentioned that. But then the sign underneath, autistic child area. I have seen, and as you said, I have seen, and now I find myself really looking around. I saw it in Merritton, I saw it one in St. Catharines, I was up in Font Hill, I even drove around to find it. But this, the way Mr. Dren has designed the sign, that initial with the disability at the top really catches your eye. You will then follow it down to the word, whether it's autistic child or a blind child or a deaf child. And I think that's really unique. And across this province, there's no one has a sign like that. And I believe, and I've said this to Mr. Dren, and I believe that when this is finalized a year from now, or maybe we might not even wait till then, that we should be looking at taking this forward to the province of Ontario and seeing if this could be used as the standard across this whole province when it comes to recognizing the importance of safety for children with disability. So I just want to close with saying to Mr. Dren, congratulations to you and your staff for caring. And I do want to say, I understood the initial report which said no. I think at that time, the staff were looking at from a technical point of view. And when you look at it technically, you say no. But I'm really pleased that the staff looked at it from an emotional point of view. It's the right thing to do. Because we have this logo in our city, a safe place to work, play, and etc., but a safe place. And this just makes Niagara Falls much more safer for children with disability and for their parents. So congratulations. And again, congratulations to you, Mr. Dren, and your staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pietrangelo.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Like others before, I just want to say thank you very much to Vanessa for bringing this and having some persistence in this matter. I wanted to ask a question in regards to the trial period. I just want to understand how staff are proposing that it works. Are there a certain number of signs that you're looking at putting out and then evaluating them in the first year? What if people in the community request a sign, and how are we going to promote it? Are we going to put it on our website so that people can simply ask for a sign and then the city will go and distribute one? And I'm not so sure. I mean, I think we have a winner here that we have to actually wait that 1 year. So those are my comments.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we're going to call the vote. What's that? Would you like an answer? Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, he didn't get up. It seemed like he was the right answer. I'm sorry, Mr. Dren.
Well, you just moved the meeting along, so I figured.
All right.
No.
All right.
So through the mayor, yes, the plan is to promote it because it is new, and that I guess we're always cautious when you bring something out that's a new style road sign, that you want to make sure that you're not going to have someone else coming in and saying no, that's wrong or whatever, and we want to be sure. I think it's a positive sign. I think it will be here longer than that, but it's just kind of like an evaluation period just to make sure that we've, there may be other things that go along with it. I'm not sure.
So it's going to go up on our website?
Yes.
Thank you.
And the other question too is follow-up. I mean, if Vanessa decides to move to another street, the city needs to be aware of the signage change, right? So that we don't have them where they don't apply in the city. So the report that we're voting on is TS 2017-31. So we have a mover, Councillor Ioannoni, second by Councillor Carrier. Did you have a comment, Councillor? No? Okay, so we're going to, yeah, Councillor?
And Vanessa, maybe working with Autism Ontario in regards to letting the city know when somebody moves, maybe you can put that out to your members and say this is the initiative they're taking, but if you move off that street, can you let us know, or maybe something through your website also that allows somebody to contact us in a partnership. Perfect.
I think that's a great idea. I will say too, Autism Ontario has a wonderful relationship with the Niagara Regional Police, and I was involved in the last year with making sure that when families register to be on their autism registry, that there was also a follow-up, and they would do that once a year as well. I wanted to say when I got my disabled child in area sign that I was told on the phone that if you do move, to give us a call, and the sign will move with you on whatever street you are on. So maybe I agree, amplifying that, I think that would be a great idea. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. Thanks very much,
Thank
Vanessa.
you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Okay, next deputation is the A.N. Meyer 60th reunion. See people wearing their purple and white in the gallery. Shane Belford and Helga Campbell, who is a trustee with the DSBN, is going to bring some reunion committee members together to give us an update on what's happening at A.N. Meyer. Dave Jex, I see in the back there too. I see a whole bunch of A.N. Meyer people. Don't you like that? Oh, right, yeah, you're Stanford, that's right. So welcome.
Stanford. Thank you. Thank you for giving us the time to talk about Meyer's 60th anniversary event. Here with me today are a couple of the committee members. Sharon Sumner, who was the department head of English before she retired and is presently doing all the landscaping around Meyer that you see happening and wins awards. And Dave Jacks, who's on the committee and has been helping us move things along. And I'm going to turn it over to Shane to start us off. Shane Belford, graduate of 1969 at Meyer.
Worship, city councilors, city staff, ladies and gentlemen. I did a quick scan of the group here, and there's quite a few people who have no idea what Niagara Falls looked like in the 50s. It's not the same city today. It's funny, back then there was actually 3 separate communities. The village of Chippewa, the city of Niagara Falls proper, and of course Stamford Township. And Stamford Township was huge. Geographically, it was large, but it was untapped. There was so much potential for growth in that area. It's funny, when Stamford amalgamated with Niagara Falls in 1963, the population of Niagara Falls was just over 22,000. And Stamford, it was 32,000. So it was a big, big growing area. You know that wonderful skyline we have, Fallsview? We didn't have that. We didn't have the Skyline Tower, but we had the Sheraton Brock. That was probably the biggest part of our skyline back then, if you can call it that. Fast food was a new concept. Families were just starting to hear about fast food. There was no McDonald's, there was no Wendy's. Tim Horton was in his mid-20s playing for the Leafs, and I'm sure he hadn't even thought about baking a donut at this point. There were basically no malls. Strip plazas were just starting to spring up. Everything was here, Queen Street, downtown. People from the rural areas would do their shopping here at Queen Street. Rossberg's, Kent's, all those stores. You know the wonderful hockey teams we had in the 60s? The Niagara Falls Flyers, who won 2 Memorial Cups? They weren't here. They were in Barrie winning Memorial Cups. So all of this has changed over the years. I was born in very nearby Port Dalhousie. And when I was 1, my father accepted employment with Canada Customs here in Niagara Falls. We had a small house in Port Dalhousie, big mortgage, 3 boys at the time, 3 hungry boys, and always a crappy car. So my dad actually would have to take a streetcar to downtown St. Catharines and a bus here to Niagara, and when his shift was over, he had to reverse the journey. So he decided in 1955 to build a house on St. Andrew Avenue in the North End. There were only 6 houses on that street, and everything else was farmland. Behind us, beside us, farmland between St. Andrew and St. Paul Street, Henry Weens. It was a totally different thing. At the end of the street, where Ryle Street meets St. Andrew, there was a tiny bungalow with a young couple and 4 kids. This man, in the wintertime, would get up at 3 in the morning, take his oil tanker and deliver oil to the furnaces in the North End community. That man was Bob Gale Sr. His 4 kids, as soon as they were able to drive, they all took turns driving that tanker around filling up furnaces. Bob Gale Jr. was the youngest. He was the baby of the family. And he eventually took over the business, and they've been a great contributor to Niagara Falls and the region. But Dave Gale, his brother, and I went to school together. So I attended Martha Cullimore. It was built in 1955. And it was perfect, because I walked 2 blocks with Dave down the street. That's our school. My brothers, we actually moved in the late spring before the school really was ready, because they were sold out. They had a full house. John Marshall had a full house. So they had to walk from our house in St. Andrew down to the old Victoria School at Portage and Stanley, halfway to Queenston. That's where they had to go to school. So when Martha Culmer opened up, it was great. Senior public, Dave and I lucked out again. 1961, Prince Philip was open. So we'd walk down Martha Culmer, cut across the field, we were there. My brothers, not so lucky. Okay, 1953, Princess Elizabeth was the senior public school. So they had to walk from our place down to Morrison and Drummond for the senior public. But the real shame was the high school. With that tremendous growth that was going to be projected in the North End, people living as far away as Mountain Road would have to walk up to Lundy's Lane to Stamford Collegiate. It was terrible. There was no real busing available for them. In the wintertime, you couldn't ride your bike, so they did a lot of walking back in those days. So the need for a school in the North End became very, very apparent. It picked up rapidly because they had to build another elementary school, Orchard Park, on Dorchester in 1959, and then Cherrywood Acres in 65. And you all know how the growth has changed in the North End. Well, I was very fortunate. The last 20 years of my working career, I worked internationally, and then also from coast to coast in Canada. So I got to see a lot of cities, but when it came to retirement a couple of years ago, there was no hesitation. We came back. We came back. I can't think of a better place to live in retirement than Niagara Falls. Now, the funny thing was I came back just in time. My very first community event I attended was the induction of the 65 senior Marauder team in the Sports Wall of Fame. The captain of the team was the counselor right here, Wayne Campbell. I had no business being on that team. They had no juniors, so I wanted to play. I was 13. And basically, I was a tackling dummy in practice. But when I came back, they welcomed me with open arms, just as if I was, a contributing member to that team, because age is the big equalizer. We all have white hair or no hair. We all sort of walk with limps, so it evens out in the long run. But the fun years that I experienced at A.N. Meyer, it shaped you in so many ways, the leaders that came out of that school. So that brings you up to 1957, and Helga's going to move us forward with some of the plans that we do have.
Thanks, Shane. That was a little trip down history and memory lane. That was great. So yes, it was the summer of 1957. A hydrogen bomb was tested on the Nevada desert. England decided to use the Salk polio vaccine. The Aga Khan was said to be the richest man in the world. John Diefenbaker was prime minister. The Yankee Yankee dollar traded at a discount. And Sweet Marie bars were 3 for 29 cents. And lots west of Dorchester were going for $2,700, and my parents bought two. Built two houses, one after the other, because of course they made a mistake on the first one, had to do another one to correct that mistake. And on the first Tuesday of September, the school, named after Albert Nicholas Meyer, a former principal at Stamford for about 25 years, opened its doors to more than 600 students. Hugh Ferguson, a former Stanford teacher, was its first principal, with Wilfred Dewar as the vice principal. At its peak in 1975, Meyer's enrollment was 1,536 students. Among its alumni are professional hockey and football players, a nationally known basketball player, Jay Triano, champion figure skater, Rhodes Scholar, John McBain, and in the arts, Steve Sabados, the designer guy, and novelist Kathy Buchanan, among others. And of course, politicians like our mayor and the St. Catharines mayor. Our reunion event this time was decided to be a more casual affair, other than others were in the past, the 25th, the 40th, the 50th, where there were formal dinners, and people had said that they didn't get much of a chance to really talk to everybody because everybody was sitting at their own table at the dinner, and that was kind of the evening. So we decided we'd make it a more casual affair. So this will happen with events at Meyer on Friday, September the 22nd. I hate to say this because how many September 22nd, 23rd events did I hear about tonight? So it's going to be a busy weekend. So at the school on Friday, September 22nd, with 2 football games, a junior game and a senior game, to celebrate the new turf field that's being installed and the 8-lane track that will be open and ready by then. And there will be some opportunities to wander around the school with students guiding people to see whatever features they want to see about the school. And then on Saturday, we're going to have 1 to 9 at Fireman's Park, where there will be inflatables, there will be food trucks, there will be live music, cash bar, from 1 to 9. And John McBain is going to be at both events. He's prepared to make some major announcements as far as what he's contributing to the school at that time. So I think one of the interesting things about the Saturday event will be we're going to have tents for each decade. So the 50s, 60s will have a tent, 60s or 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then a staff tent. So it will facilitate people going to see those classmates that they were in school with at the time. So we're hoping that that will be a really attractive feature of the day. Kevin, this all started, and Kevin and I are wondering what got into our heads. But anyways, this all started when we were wondering if there was going to be a 60th reunion, a 60th anniversary. And when we talked to the school, they said, well, no, they were thinking about the 75th being the big event. And Kevin and I looked at each other and said, not sure about that, whether we're going to be around for the 75th. So that sort of started the ball rolling, and here we are with an event planned for the weekend of the 26th and 22nd and 23rd. Okay. If they do have a 75th anniversary and I am around, I made it clear that I will not be chairing that one because I will leave it to the competent crew that has been working on this one. And I just want to give a quick shout out to the people that have been involved in making this happen. And that's Olga Gersovic, Kevin Maves, Roger Schmidt, Joan King, Margaret Trout, Dave Jex is here, Joanne Mottershead, Joanne Butler, Paisley Gillies, Shane's here, Wayne Campbell, Sharon Sumner, Tina Clancy, Selena Volpatti, Ginger Blythe, Julia and Paula Gersovic, and Sharon Sumner. Information for registration can be found on the Facebook site, A.N. Myers 60th, on the school website under Alumni Understand, and on the Education Foundation Niagara website. And they have been the ones that are coordinating all the registration and handling the money. And they are, the Education Foundation of Niagara is an adjunct of the DSBN, and all the money, it's a charitable organization, and all the money that they have goes to students in need in the DSBN system. So if kids need backpacks, lunches, clothes, whatever, they're the ones that provide that kind. And so a portion of any of the monies that are left over after expenses are paid will go to the DSB, or to the Education Foundation Niagara. Big thank you to all the committee members who have volunteered their time, to the corporate sponsors who have made financial donations towards the Legacy Project, and we're looking at whatever monies we collect in addition to the registrations and the corporate sponsorships, there will be some legacy that will be left to the school in memory of what they have contributed. To Fireman's Park for their assistance, and in particular to John McCall McBain, who has not only made significant scholarship contributions to the school over the years, but is assisting with financial costs for this reunion, as well as poised to make a significant announcement both Friday and Saturday that will benefit Myer and its students in the years to come. Thank you for your time. And now just a short couple of minutes so you can have a chance to view some of the slides, trip down memory lane. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments of council for our presenters on the AMI reunion? I know I've been watching the slides the whole time. I've been kind of distracted watching them, looking for some pictures I recognize.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, anything? All right.
No, I said Helga and I, we were roped in together to do the 50th. We co-chaired the 50th reunion, and this time I didn't answer my phone. I thought, no, not this time.
I tried.
One was enough.
Well, I was 25th. I was the 40th, 50th, and.
Well, it stands to reason you'd be there. Yeah. Okay. So we'd like to thank you very much. As a Myer alumni, I'm proud to be at the event. I'll definitely be there. I'll look forward to seeing you guys. And if there's no further presentation, we'll say good luck and let's get the word out to everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. That sounds like rain out there. Yeah. I know. I could just hear it. Councillor Crater? What's up? It caused the rains.
Thank you, Worship. I wanted to put a motion to add one more delegation to tonight's schedule. They're not on it, but there's been a lot of media coverage, not just by the newspapers nationally, but also by CBC, and that has to do with Thundering Waters, and there was a group of people who were out there expressing their views and concerns about it. I had lots of phone calls asking me questions, and I indicated that I understood they would be coming tonight, and maybe, and I'm more than happy to make the motion that we give them the opportunity to share their views on why they were there and what was the purpose of it. So I'm going to make that a motion. As again, I know they're not on the agenda, but I think it's significant enough, and there's been enough calls that maybe it's an opportunity to kind of clear this up as what's going on there. So I make that a motion to
Who are
allow
you
me to-
asking to speak, Councillor?
The Owens here, and the group that's with Owen.
So one person you're asking?
He'll decide when he comes out.
Well, no, we're going to decide. So I'm asking what the motion is.
Then Owen, that's fine.
Okay, so your motion is to ask Owen to speak?
That's correct.
Okay, and can we find out what what we're going to be discussing?
Thundering Waters.
Is this about the planning matter that we're going to be dealing with?
No, as I said to the public, we've never seen anything. We've got no planning. We've never seen a single thing except that day the lady came here and spoke through a translator, but there's been no proposal that's been given to us. We've never made any decision. We haven't endorsed anything about Thundering Waters. even the biodiversity, I said, nobody asked us, were we in support of biodiversity? Because people think we were. I said, no, it never came through council. So that's what's going to be talked about. And the media covered it, and kind of a cloud over the city right now because of all the coverage that we're getting on this, including CBC was there as well. So
Okay,
I make that a motion. Thank you, Worship.
Okay, and just before we get to the vote, Mr. Hurlovich, you wanted to comment?
Yes, Your Worship, and as Councillor Crater points out, we did have the developer at this council meeting outlining her vision for the Thundering Waters on more than one occasion. It is an active planning file. We're waiting for the reports to come in. I've given the same information to CBC, to global media, that we're waiting for the environmental impact study to come in, waiting for the traffic report to come in, waiting for the servicing studies to come in. All of these things are needed to make a complete application so that we can bring full information to council. As a Planning Act application, we're required to give a public notice, which we have a whole list of people who are interested, who have left their names with the planning department. We have our obligatory list of agencies and property owners in the vicinity that we contact. So there will be a full public meeting, and everybody will have an opportunity to speak. Both those for, those against, and those representing the development. That's standard practice within the Planning Act as the province of Ontario has legislated.
Do we have any idea, Mr. Hurlovich, on timing? Like, do we have any indication, or, you know?
Well, I've been working with their planner. In fact, their transportation consultant was in touch with the Transportation Division last week, sending out their basic assumptions on roads and how the roads would be impacted by the development. And so they're looking for feedback from staff so they can complete those. Those studies, as I understand, would be completed within the next month. And then submission date would be sometime after that. So with council meeting once a month, likely the earliest would be the end of October, but I can't guarantee it would be then. It might be November, December of this year, but certainly we would be giving notice. We're required to give 30 days notice under the Act. So, you know, if it's not here, and if the submission's not here until October the 1st, it will be November. If it's not here till November 1st, it'll be December.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ioannoni?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We canceled, I think, 3 or 4 deputations that were on tonight. Some didn't show, so they passed very quickly. I don't think we're talking about a planning matter. I think we're talking about the occupation of Thundering Waters last week. I think that's what the people who were there want to speak about. They don't want to talk about the planning matter. There's going to be a lot of technicality that comes with that. I will say that I'm getting asked the same questions, but as a councillor, when you read the July 25th, 2017 Globe and Mail article in regards to investors are starting to be discouraged, particularly the quote, somebody has to be responsible or somebody has to pay us back the money that we spent. That, to me, that's very alarming. I didn't know our staff was working with the planners, with the developer. We really don't know anything. Let's just put it there. We really don't know anything about this other than the MOU was signed. There's questions now in regards to their investment. They have something to say. Let's give them 10 minutes.
Mr. Hurlovich?
The Planning Department presented a report to this council last August, a year ago. Council deferred the application at that time, and so I take exception to the statement that council was not aware of this application.
Thank you. Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So then I'll take it, I no means meant to insult you. I'll take it into the political realm. I did not know that you were lobbying the Premier. I haven't seen one letter from you to the Premier. They haven't been copied to council. We didn't give a motion to direct letters to the Premier lobbying for the developer. So if we could, as a council, get copies of those letters, that would be fantastic.
Well, for clarity, I wasn't lobbying for the developer. That's inaccurate. Maybe if I could ask our CAO to comment on the letter regarding the provincial facilitator.
So point of order.
Yes,
point of order. I thought that we're actually right at this point, and maybe we can talk about that later, but I thought the motion right now on the floor was to talk about whether we're going to allow a group to speak on a planning matter. Can we first carry that out?
Hey, well, we're trying to sort out exactly where we're going with this, because now we're getting into specifics. Now, Council, you're talking about something entirely different, about letters written, about specifics in the planning, with regard to planning, and comments in the Globe and Mail. So if the question is...
I will withdraw that, and I will just have my motion for, my second for Owen to speak, and allow them to put their deputation. They're not asking to speak on a planning matter, they're asking to do deputation in regards to their occupation.
Okay, I've got Councillor Carrier.
Well, is it an active planning matter or isn't it? Could I get that answered first of all? It's a planning matter.
Mr.
We're in the process of a planning application, are we not, Mr. Hurley?
Yes, Your Worship, this was a city-initiated application for secondary plan in conjunction with the landowner who is doing the various studies. We're working now with their planner who wishes to advance this. She was not satisfied with how quickly this was moving, so we're waiting for all of those reports to come in. Our reports would have been funded through development charges, and we're taking more time than she wished to expend.
Well, Your Worship, just a couple of comments. I'm certainly interested in listening to anyone that comes to comment on a planning matter, whether they're for or against an application. The planning meetings are obviously very structured for obvious reasons. Number one of them being fairness, two being notice. So the only, not knowing what the speaker has to say, I don't know whether what they have to say is fair to the proponent. If they're going to make comments about the application or what the proponent is coming to us for, wouldn't it be fair to have given the proponent notice so that they could be here to listen to these people and make comments? I don't know. It's an unusual situation to have someone comment on a planning matter prior to it. You have a planning matter coming up before us in a few minutes. It would be unusual for someone to have come here 2 weeks ago and asked to speak or make comments on a planning matter that's coming here tonight. So it's a very unusual request. And not knowing what they have to say, I mean, it puts me in an awkward position on whether to vote to listen to them or not. I don't know.
Looking for some direction. Yes, Councillor Morocco?
I have to say that I support Councillor Carrio's comments, and we always want to hear what everyone has to say, but I think when it's fair game, that if everyone is in the room and there's a planning matter on the table and that both sides are there that we can listen to, I think that's what I fully support. And I think that it's kind of like, what do we listen to whatever they have to say now, and then, you know, how fair is that the other person's not here, the other side. So I have to say that I'd welcome the opportunity that they come back when the planning matter is basically on the table, and that we can hear both sides, and that the staff is fully prepared to address the comments or any questions and concerns, because I'm sorry, I do not have any documentation in front of me to base any comments or even think about making any motions.
Councillor Crater, is there any reason why we wouldn't have the speakers come in when we're going to deal with the planning matter, when they can all speak?
I've made a motion, so maybe it's just as simple, just to call it and let people decide, you know, how they feel. That's fine. It's pretty straightforward.
But, so, no, you're not going to answer the question?
What's the question again?
So what I'm asking is there a reason we're doing it today rather than when the planning meeting is going to be here, where we can invite...
That is a good question. There was a huge amount of media coverage. CBC, I mean, we all saw it. The number of phone calls that were asked. And I had a lot of people calling me and saying, can we get some information from these people as to why they were there? I'd like to hear it firsthand. And I said, I think they're coming on Monday, and I'm prepared to make a motion. What do you think as the general public? The people that talk to me, well, that's great. We want to hear what they say, and we get a feeling for it. We saw the articles in the newspaper. We saw it on the TV. So I just made the motion. I thought it was a pretty simple motion. That's what I thought. And we've been a pretty good council where anyone who comes here, I mean, look at all the deputations we had tonight. We had Vanessa, who had the young son. But we had, and I've seen us, no, and you're right, but I have seen us where we've gone and made exceptions for people to make a presentation, even if they're not on here. Like, I don't want to belabor this, I just think, just call the motion and whatever happens, happens. It's pretty fair.
Yeah, it is. But for clarity, though, the difference between this is we have an active planning application going through the process, and we don't have the applicant here. So we're going to talk about their application without them here. And I agree, we'll call the vote, and the vote is the vote, but it is a little bit unusual. Is there anything, any other staff before we call this, was there anything else I should know or be aware of, or council should be aware of? Mr. Beeman?
Well, ultimately, I suspect that the way this is going, we're going to end up in the Ontario Municipal Board. From the point of view, if you want to succeed and present a case that you're not already starting off on your back foot, it would be best to be conventional in how you treat the process as it comes through, and not be having deputations based upon what's in the newspaper. That would be, must be certainly within council's prerogative to do so, and it's not illegal, but from the point of view of enabling, whether you vote for the project, you vote against it, and ultimately instructed to oppose it or be for it, for or against it, it would be, I would prefer that we start off with from having dealt with the matter in a conventional manner of having all the notice out and having everybody here and all the deputations sort of at the one time vote for and against by the council in the way envisioned in the Planning Act. That's a preference. It's not mandatory.
Yes, Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have no idea what they're here to speak about. If we do give them permission to speak and they start speaking on the planning matter itself, I'm going to get up and walk out. Is that fair enough? If they're here to talk about their experience, as Ian Meyer was here to talk about their 60th reunion, their experience of camping out overnight and talking about the site itself, separate from any decisions being made, we're not here to discuss the planning matter. But if they start bringing up information, requesting this or that from the planning basis, I'm going to get up and walk out.
Yeah, fair enough, thank you. I've got Councillor Pietrangelo, then Kerrio.
Thanks, Your Worship. My views are the exact same, and I'd like to reiterate what Councillor Campbell said. I think that there's a process in place right now, as we've all talked about, and that would be the planning process. I think that if the gentleman wants to address the time that he spent there this weekend, talk about that, that's one thing. If he starts to get into the planning application, then I think at that point we'd be showing some bias, and I think we should stop the conversation. So I have no problems allowing someone to speak. I never have problems allowing someone to speak. You just have to respect the fact that there is an ongoing application right now, and we can't be biased.
Okay. Councillor Kerrio?
Just one more comment, not to belittle this, Your Worship, but if the shoe were on the other foot, and we were bringing something forward here, and didn't notify them and give them an opportunity to be here to speak on the other side, I'm sure they wouldn't find it very fair.
Okay, I think we've heard enough on this, so it's been recorded, called for recorded vote, Mr. Clerk. So if you want to start the tally.
The motion on the floor is that council grant permission to Mr. Owen, unfortunately I don't have a last name.
Bjorgen, I think it is that right?
Bjorgen, thank you, to speak to the matter of the Thundering Waters future development. Councillor Campbell.
In favor.
Councillor Crater.
In favor?
Councillor Iannoni.
In favor.
Councillor Kerrio.
Opposed.
Councillor Morocco.
Opposed?
Councillor Pietrangelo.
Yes.
Councillor Strange.
Yes.
Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
And Mayor Diodati.
In favor.
That carries.
Okay, Mr. Bjorgen, you want to come forward? Okay, so if you could state your, and spell your last name for the clerk, and your address, and then you've got 10 minutes once you start.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. My name is Owen Bjorgen. Last name is spelled B-J-O-R-G-A-N. I am a resident of Niagara-on-the-Lake, just next door, and I'm a citizen of Canada. I don't represent any official group or party. I'm a concerned citizen and also an academic. I graduated from the University of Guelph 2 Aprils ago with my Bachelor of Science in Biodiversity. We've heard that word make not only a lot of media coverage, as we mentioned today too, but it's also making the rounds more on everywhere from social media to a general discussion to right here in the room today. So my specialty and the reason why I'm here today is to discuss the environmental concerns and implications following and surrounding the Thundering Waters Forest property, which is a 484-acre property on the outskirts of downtown Niagara Falls here. So as many of you may know, thanks to the extensive media coverage, I was one of the, I'll say fortunate, believe it or not, you're thinking of bugs and mosquitoes being the majority of the property is a provincially significant wetland. I call it a privilege to camp out for the past week. Our title, if any, our, meaning the core group of campers that stayed there for a week, is the Land and Water Defenders. And we are defending the basic human rights to a healthy environment, which we should stand for here in Canada. The example is now in our backyard in Niagara Falls. I'm going to slowly build a little math equation for you here. In my University of Guelph years, I failed math once in first year and nearly failed it again the second time around. The math I'm going to give you today, though, is something that I understand and I hope you understand as well. First part of the equation is I'm going to talk about Carolinian Canada. Carolinian Canada is a life zone or an eco zone that covers just 0.25% of Canada's land surface area. As we know, Canada is an enormous country in terms of size. 0.25%, and that area of land stretches from Windsor to Niagara region to the GTA and not much else at all. It is the most species-rich or biodiverse ecosystem in the whole country. Yes, up north Ontario is wilder. British Columbia and the Yukon are wilder. But in terms of species richness, so the number of species of plants and animals that we can record and find in our backyard, it's right here in Niagara. It's part of Carolinian Canada. So that's a sincere privilege, I would say, to live in this area of Canada. It's the same reason we can grow peaches. We have a special climate in this ecoregion and habitat type that allows species of plants and animals from the southern and eastern parts of the states. And this is the northernmost, the very tip northernmost of a lot of the species range. Some of those species of plants and animals of which are found at the Thundering Waters Forest ecosystem, as once declared by Dugan and Associates, and also myself and the various academics and citizen scientists, we'll call them, who have been surveying the property extensively due to our concerns that the 484 acres there is a truly remarkable and valuable ecosystem in both quality and quantity. And I'm here to speak on behalf of that today. Carolinian Canada, most species-rich zone in the country. Pretty incredible. In those 0.25% of land area, we also have 25% of Canada's human population. So you can see the contrast and the battle, if you will, for land use issues, and maybe that's possibly also why I'm here today too. I understand that that is a conflicting sort of scenario. Richest ecosystem in the country, booming population and economic growth. I understand that that is a conflict. We're going to build on the equation a little bit more. We're going to talk about the characteristics of the provincially significant wetlands there, which cover a significant portion of the property, nearly 2/3 of it, the 484 acres. And of those provincially significant wetlands, wetland is an overarching term, which could mean a swamp, a bog, a fen, or a marsh. I'm not about to go Bill Nye on all of you and explain the little details of each one. That's for myself to geek out on. What I will tell you, though, is that the majority of the ecosystems we see that are provincially significant wetland are a swamp forest or a slough forest, characterized by a low clay plain, undulating plains. Those depressions and the undulations fill up with winter snowmelt and spring storms and rain. They fill up and they create these temporary oases for amphibians, invertebrates, and reptiles to reproduce successfully in an environment where there is no fish. That doesn't sound like an important detail, but it sincerely is. There are no fish in these waters, in these swamp forests that gobble up the eggs, the juveniles, and the adults of these respective species that are trying to reproduce. So we have an old growth forest on top of that. Old growth forests contain large trees. Large trees, of course, get big. They grow in size. Some of them become hollow. Some of them have branches break off. They fall over, die, become logs, etc. All that physical complexity of logs, trees half falling over, trees standing upright, hollows, holes, rotting, you name it, it adds extremely to the biodiversity potential for a property versus a young forest or versus a farm field that is growing back to a more natural state. Old growth or virgin forests and ecosystems are incredibly more valuable for the most part for biodiversity, and that's not just here in Niagara, that's all over the world in most ecosystems. The other part of the equation I'm building today, this is the statistic that I gladly woke up and crawled out of my little hammock tent, covered in mud between my toes and behind my ears. And every media reporter that I spoke to in that state, I hammered home this statistic, and I'm here to stand and do it again proudly, and not so proudly now. We've lost 90%, so that's 90% of original wetland coverage in Niagara region. That is a shocking number. I use this analogy with some of the very counselors who came out to visit. I would like to thank Kim Crater, Carolyn Arnani, Mike Strange, Victor Pietrangelo for coming out and visiting us to just learn about the property. I think the four of you would agree that our stay-in was not by any means aggressive. It was not foul-mouthed. It was not improper in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it was even okayed by the police for the whole week we stayed out there. I told the statistic to you. I'm going to use this analogy again. If I had a piece of pie and it was 10 slices and we all together in this room somehow ate 9 of them, and it happened kind of quickly, and all of a sudden, boom, there's 1 piece of pie left. I guess what I'm saying in the big picture in this metaphor is everyone in this room needs to have a much more serious discussion on what we're going to do with that last 1 piece of pie. And right now we feel, we meaning academics, citizens, and the Indigenous community, and everyone else who's been involved in this issue, we feel someone figuratively has reached in aggressively and taken that 1 piece away, or is about to at least, without the proper consultation and knowledge. We need to have a better, longer, more serious discussion about this. Speaking of the camp, actually before I get to the camp, revisit our math equation. Carolinian Canada, most species-rich ecosystem in Canada. Old growth forest, that is valuable and irreplaceable as far as the habitat goes. Biodiversity offsetting cannot tell you otherwise. And then plus 90% of wetlands gone. Plus equals, in my books, from an ecological and professional standpoint, irreplaceable. That's my math for the day. No more math. Now, why the Savannah campout? The Savannah section is an area of the property that is prone for the development right now because it is not a provincially significant wetland. We camp there because from an ecological standpoint, there is a concern about what developing the Savannah section, as we're calling it, which doesn't have large trees, is a regrowth from a farm in the 1930s, 40s kind of area. It's still a valuable habitat unto itself, and its adjacency or its gradient into the swamp forest ecosystem is a case in point of how symbiotic the whole ecosystem is. So we can't just look at the provincially significant wetlands, build all around them, block them in, and then say, don't worry, we protected the provincially significant wetlands. Basic ecology says otherwise, and that there are concerns surrounding that. My concerns include how the hydrology and biodiversity may be affected. I've given this example before at Regional Council as well. Biodiversity. If we build all around those PSWs, the species that call the extreme south of Canada and Ontario home in Carolinian Canada, those populations, be it salamanders, owls, deer, endangered or rare species, plants, whatever it may be, they're boxed in. They're protected under a PSW, but they're boxed in, and that immediately increases the opportunity and chance for inbreeding. And inbreeding in biology, it often is shown that it leads to negative consequences for populations. And then the populations die, and then we go in and survey that PSW again 10 years from now perhaps, and we say, hey, this species isn't found here anymore. This species isn't found anymore. I guess it's no longer a provincially significant wetland. The development continues. So we fear a domino effect after choking off the biodiversity by boxing it in. There's also concerns for hydrology. If you just saw the storm that blasted outside the building here, with regards to climate change in the big scheme, whether you believe in it or not, it is likely that Niagara region, Southern Ontario will see more extreme weather events. And when we pave over and use agriculture for the majority of Niagara region, which it already is, we should be taking pretty seriously areas like our 10% of remaining wetlands in terms of what they do for us with hydrology. So if we paved over, for example, the Savannah section where we camped out at, what's going to happen when we have all these urban and residential contaminants that are now running and flushing into the provincially significant wetland? What's going to happen when we have a major rainstorm or event in this new development worth millions of dollars, and then all of a sudden we have water coming into people's basements in their new home because the wetland can't function the way it used to because we've effectively choked it out and ruined it by building all around it. That is a concern as well. So we camped on the Savannah because, believe me, I've camped in a lot of places all over the world. Camping in the swamp forest, not too ideal. So it's a more comfy campground, yes, but we want to raise awareness of where you're standing right now. As I said to the counselors when they came out and visited, where you're standing right now at our camp is the area slated for development, and that has effects on what's going to happen over there. on the what is approximately 333.6 acres of PSW. In my time in Niagara, I have done lichen studies. I won't bore you to death with those either. I've done studies on insects and woodlots as well. And I've also filmed a documentary on all of Niagara region regarding its natural areas of importance. One thing I can tell you from a professional standpoint, and maybe a personal remark as well, is that there is no ecosystem and property like the Thundering Waters Forest that I personally have ever come across in the Niagara region. And again, I'm putting it on the big scale where we think this is unique to not just Niagara, therefore, but it's unique to the country. We have quality and quantity of habitat. It's a true relic, and I think it would be an absolute waste of a natural wonder and natural capital to see that property gone. So with regards to an ecosystem, to again build all around this and say we protected the provincially significant wetlands is slightly misleading and, dare I say, even erroneous. Developers, city planners, etc. Those are the sorts of people who draw straight lines across a map and say this ecosystem ends here, this ecosystem stops there. I understand why that has to be done, of course, in order to make decisions on land use and planning. However, in nature, ecosystems do not draw straight lines. And so the concern is, again, by developing one area, we're not necessarily saving the PSWs that we're praising to protect. So that's the big picture of what's happening on the property. Now let's look at the big picture of what this means for a global scale and a global example too.
Owen, are you able to wrap it up? We've gone over the 10 minutes. Are you
Oh,
close?
sorry, I got a little excited. I can wrap it up right now. I'm on my last point. My apologies, Mayor. Big picture for climate change. This property is a carbon sink. It is known that old growth forests and wetlands are the best carbon retainers of ecosystem types all over the world. If you want to talk about climate change in the big picture again, if we were to degrade that habitat, ruin it, or remove it altogether, we would see that carbon released into the atmosphere contributing further to climate change, which would be a shame in today's day and age. So I'm going to wrap this up very briefly here by saying that this ecosystem is one of a kind, both to Niagara and Canada. The concerns are not only environmental, but Carolyn, I believe you asked for some emails earlier and some letters perhaps that have gone between our Mayor Jim Diodati and the Premier. I have 10 copies of them right here, and I'd like to give them to all your councils right now because apparently some of you haven't seen them. And to me, that is a concern when 484 acres of property with a $1.5 billion project attached to it, and you guys aren't in the loop as you were 1 or 2 years ago when we showed up at these meetings too. You haven't been in the loop because you haven't been informed. If I can be a helpful cog in the wheel and an honest citizen through the freedom of information, I have copies for everybody right here. I'd like to start by distributing these four. I want to pass those along.
Councillor Carrio, you had a question?
And that is my time for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I didn't have a question, Your Worship. I enjoyed the presentation. And he did stick to what he said he was going to, you asked him to stick to. And I stand corrected. I'm glad that I heard what you had to say. You did it very well.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Councillor Reinhardt.
I'd like to thank council for voting to let them speak. We've had them here before to speak, and if I'm not mistaken, we didn't let Cindy Forrester speak on the same issue, so I was glad to see we've advanced and let this group speak. And I have to say, I'm so happy you got to shower. You promised you would all shower before you
It looked like
left.
chocolate milk. Yeah.
It was a little scary when we were out there. I just want to say, you know, we talk about young people, or you read stories about young people that are derogatory, and I am so impressed with your group. I am so impressed with your passion. I told your mother I think you might run the world one day, so I'd like to be here to see that. So I just want to say congratulations and thank you for coming and informing us, and thank you for the stand that you're taking.
Thank you. And Owen, yep. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm glad that we made the decision to permit you to speak. I know it was controversial. I was concerned about the solicitor's comments, how it might affect the future, but I was truly impressed with your comments, and one of the best presentations I've heard on this issue. Mr. Smith was excellent also, but truly a great presentation, and I don't know how you did it without mentioning the planning issue. Very well done.
It's my little secret. Yeah.
Okay, Owen, so thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out, and I'm sure we'll be in touch over this as it progresses.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now I'd ask our city clerk to introduce the next item on the agenda.
A public meeting is now being convened to consider a proposed amendment to the city's zoning bylaw to develop a 6-story, 36-unit apartment building on a 1 hectare parcel of land located on the southwest corner of Mountain Road and St. Paul Avenue. Notice was given by first-class mail in accordance with the Planning Act on July 21st, 2017, and by posting a sign on the property in question. Anyone who wants notice of passage of the zoning bylaw amendment to participate in any site plan process, if applicable, or preserve their opportunity to appeal to the Ontario Municipal Board shall leave their name on the sign-in sheets outside the council chamber.
Thank you very much. I now ask our Director of Planning, Mr. Hurlovich, to explain the purpose and the reason for the proposed bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Your Worship. This application is a rezoning application on the south side of Mountain Road and the west side of St. Paul. The surrounding land uses to the north are townhouse developments within the Walker Court street of neighborhoods of St. David's. To the northeast is a future 10-story apartment building which is already approved and has gone through site plan approval. Immediately to the south of this property is the Hydro Corridor, south of which is the Moretta Estates, an area of largely single detached homes. And then to the west of this are single detached homes and former orchard properties. The property itself is, as the clerk outlined, 1 hectare in size. The proposal is that there would be a 36-unit apartment building. They are looking for a number of zone changes to accommodate this development. There are a number of extenuating circumstances, which I'll get into. So they're looking for a maximum height of 21 meters, which would allow a 6-story apartment building. The building itself is to be set back 15 meters from Mountain Road allowance, to be set back 95 meters from St. Paul Avenue. There's the actual frontage by zoning definition is on St. Paul Avenue. You can see there's only 7.5 meters there. It's almost a triangular shaped parcel. So we need to recognize that as the frontage, but at a size less, but you can see the building's orientation is really towards mountain. The lot area per dwelling unit would be 282 square meters per unit, and there would be a 17.6 meter setback on the west side of this property. The parking for this development is partially on the surface and partially underground. The applicant has requested this rezoning for an R4 zone for the 6-story, 36-unit building. This council considered a previous application in 2014 for a 34-unit townhouse proposal. That was approved. However, when they began the site works, they discovered that the easterly half of the site contained large deposits of shale, which were not suitable for the construction of the townhouses, and therefore only the westerly portion of the site can be developed. So therefore they're moving the unit count to the west half of the property. So if we look back at this, you can see there's a large landscaped open space area associated with this property. In fact, it's 11%, almost 12% of the site, which is almost unheard of for an apartment building in an urban area. The property, as I outlined, is already zoned R4. They're seeking to amend that, retain the R4, but to allow for a 6-story, 36-unit apartment building with a number of specific regulations, which I outlined on the site plan. We did have a neighborhood meeting on this development in June of this year. 12 residents came out, largely from the Walker Court development to the north. They had concerns about the height of the building, the potential impact, additional traffic that would be generated, and any disturbances during construction. The applicant addressed the concerns about privacy by moving the building back a further 6.8 meters. That's the 15 meters that I referred to in the earlier slide. They revised the drawing to show the increased setback. It was circulated to those residents, and we had no further comment. Excuse me. The lands are designated residential in the official plan. That permits a 4-story building, up to 75 units per hectare. There is a provision in the official plan. This development has a density on the developable portion that is subtracting the shale affected area of 72 units per hectare, so it is within that density. The development itself can exceed the building heights where it's considered a well-designed development. This proposal is well-designed, has generous on-site landscaping, sufficient on-site parking, the majority of which is underground. The proposed 6-story building actually forms a transition between the 10-story building that's already approved for the northeast corner and the single-family houses in the surrounding area. And it's located at the intersection of 2 arterial roads, so provides excellent accessibility and can accommodate the traffic. It will add to our short-term housing supply. This is a rendering of the development, so when I say it's a well-designed building, this is the image that we're presenting at our northern gateway as you enter the city of Niagara Falls. The zoning for this property is low-density, multiple-family residential. Under the R4, it permits 34 units. The applicant is asking for 36 units, so an increase of 2 units, and a 6-story building. As I said, they're basically trying to move the development on the west side. Outlined already the number of proposed zoning regulations for frontage, for the maximum building height. This is a schedule that shows what has been done in order to accommodate this development relative to the comments that we received. So in the bottom image on the screen, it says section through Ridge. So on the left side, you see the townhouses on Walker Court. There's quite a grade differential, and the building was basically moved back away from Mountain Road, so further to the right of the screen. And so in actual fact, if even going to the closest trees, there would only be the top 2 floors of the building that would actually be visible. And at the very top of the screen, view E and view D are the artist renderings with the trees along the edge of Mountain Road and the apartment building behind. So you can see it's well screened from there. I suspect this is why we haven't had further comments. Again, continuing then with those zoning bylaw requirements. So it's actually an increase of square footage per dwelling unit, or square meters per dwelling unit. So an increase from the standard R4 requirement of 200 square meters per unit to 282. It's an increase of height. Our front yard depth, as I mentioned, from St. Paul Avenue. It's an increase in the exterior side yard from about 7.5, 25 feet to 15 meters, almost 50 feet from the Mountain Road. The rear yard is an increase over the standard. The amount of landscaping is increased. The lot coverage is a significant decrease in what we would normally expect, and they're also proposing there would be 108 or 1.88 parking spaces per dwelling unit, where our standard is 1.4. So many areas where they have exceeded. And so when I say this is a well-designed project, it really is. Again, this is just outlines further with some of the things I just mentioned: the exterior side yard increase, the rear yard increase, the increase in landscaped area, and the reduction of lot coverage, and the increase in the proposed rate of parking for this development. Therefore, we have found as a staff that this complies with the official plan that will aid in meeting our 40% housing target for the built-up areas. The requested use is recommended within the regulations. The existing and planned infrastructure can support this. Therefore, our staff has recommended that council approve the zoning bylaw amendment for the R4 zone to allow a 6-story, 36-unit apartment building. I previously outlined. Those are the highlights.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hurlovich. Do we have any questions for Mr. Hurlovich? Okay, seeing none, members of the public are advised that failure to make an oral or written submission at this public meeting will result in the Ontario Municipal Board dismissing any referral it receives. Failure to sign the sign-in sheet will result in staff rejecting an appeal as per section 3419 of the Planning Act. Council will now hear from anyone other than the applicant who wishes to speak to the proposed bylaw amendment. Is there anyone here other than the applicant? Yes? If you'd like, you can just come up to the microphone. You can state your name and your address, please.
Jean Desson, 6680 Mountain.
Okay,
Road.
welcome, Jean.
Thanks. I'm a little confused because the notice that I got said that this was a hearing about 6-story as opposed to 3. And now you're saying 10. So is it 3, 6, or 10 stories?
Mr. Hurlovich, can we get you to weigh in?
Sorry, I was trying to reverse that one the wrong way. It's a 6-story building. 10 stories are proposed on the opposite corner. This is Eagle Valley Golf Course. There's an approval for a 10-story building here. This building would be 6 stories. So what I was saying was 10, 6, and basically 2 stories for the single family. Your property is a little bit further west on Mountain Road.
Right.
So it is a 6-story building, 36 units.
Okay, and so the road is on Mountain, the exit and entrance into that.
That's correct.
Okay, and that's where I have an
Right.
issue.
Yeah. So Mrs. Calagero lives in the house immediately on this property.
Right, right.
And so the driveway would be right next to her
Yeah,
driveway.
okay, well, I'm totally opposed to that. As you know, the traffic on Mountain Road is crazy busy, it being a main artery to the highway. And now with Mrs. Sikowski's, land that is going to be developed. And there's been many accidents at the crest of that hill, one specifically in 1978 where Mr. Calagero was hit by a car. Albert, I think that was your uncle, wasn't it? So I think the exit is very dangerous there. It's coming up that hill, and I think we're going to have an issue with that. So
Okay.
that's my input.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Is there anyone here, anyone else other than the applicant who wishes to address council on this matter? Yes, of course. Can you state your name and your address?
Cassandra Somerville, 2451 Colangelo. I'm just curious, because obviously we didn't know about the 10-story planned building as well that's going to be across the street. Has there been any definite look at the future traffic problems that could occur with all these additional?
We'll get you an answer, Mr. Hurlovich. Traffic studies?
Yeah. Both of these roads are regional roads, and the Regional Transportation Department has supported those. You're probably aware that they repaved the hill on St. Paul. They restriped that, relaned that so that it could accommodate the 10-story apartment building. So there is sufficient capacity within the roads, according to the regional transportation engineers.
Mr. Hurlovich, the 10-story on Eagle Valley, when was that approved approximately?
10 years ago at least? Longer than that?
More?
More, 19.
In the 19 something? Okay.
So then it stays approved for
Yes.
Yeah, until a different zoning application, yeah. Is there anyone else other than the applicant who wishes to address council? Case, excuse me, sorry. Seeing none, council will now hear from the applicant or his or her representative.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, city staff. I think Mr. Hurlovich has summarized the project very succinctly. I think one of the real positives of this project is that it introduces a typology of residential units that presently doesn't exist in North End. I think it would be complementary to some of the townhouses and the single-family dwellings that exist in North End. Under provincial plan policy, our province advocates this type of infilling. So I think certainly it's complementary to the existing 10-story that was approved a number of years ago. We try to fit within a scale that would work with the site. From a traffic perspective, we did look at, certainly safety was a concern at the intersection, and we deliberately pushed the entrance to development as far west as possible on the site. Again, as Mr. Herlick pointed out, both Portage Road and Mountain Road are regional roads. In our pre-consultation meetings, the region had no concern with the added, we're looking at 36 units at a great capacity to the road network system. However, we did point out that under that planning jurisdiction, the idea of traffic might be a different forum, that if some of the residents did have a concern in the area, that maybe they would voice their concern directly to the region, specifically related to safety concerns. Other than that, I'd welcome any additional questions that either the council or city staff may have, as well as yourself, Mr. Mayor.
Does council have any questions for Mr. Raimondo? Looks like they're good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The public meeting with respect to the excuse me, proposed zoning bylaw amendment is now concluded. Looking for a motion from council. Councilor Morocco? Okay, moved by Councilor Morocco, seconded by Councilor Campbell. Councilor Thompson?
I was just going to say that I thought the architect did a great job. The concept that we saw on the board there was wonderful. I thought it looked very exciting. And I think that the number of units fits on the site. And the traffic studies have been done, so I thought it was a very well thought out project, and would support it. I thought Mrs. Dessen would have more people coming to her fruit stand to buy fruit, but but she didn't like it. Anyway, it's a great looking building. Congratulations.
All right, thank you. So we've got the motion. We'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous, with one conflict, declared conflict by Councilor Carrier. All right, thank you very much for coming up on that one. See you, Dave. Hey, Dave. Wookie. Used to work for me a long time ago. In the 80s, yeah. Okay, so I now ask the clerk to introduce the next item on the agenda.
A public meeting is now being convened to consider a draft plan of subdivision. Notice was given by first-class mail in accordance with the Planning Act on July 21st, 2017, and by posting a sign on the property in question. Anyone who wants further notice shall leave their name on the sign-in sheets outside council chamber.
A public meeting, there we go. Okay, Mr. Hurlovich, if you could please explain the purpose of the draft plan of subdivision.
Thank you, Your Worship. This property is a parcel of land about half a hectare in size, so 3/4 of an acre in the village of Chippewa. The property is located on the west side of Willoughby Drive. It backs onto the former hydro corridor. There are single detached dwellings to the north and an apartment building to the south. There are 7 detached dwellings on the opposite side of the street. The proposal then is to provide for the 8 single lots in a plan of subdivision around an existing cul-de-sac. The applicant actually had approval from council in 2003. That approval lapsed in 2009. He had already installed the cul-de-sac, base coat of asphalt, as well as the curbing and the servicing, but the land itself was not developed, and so he is basically beginning this process again. Lands are designated residential. There's the subject land is relatively small parcel. It's surrounded mainly by low density, low rise dwellings, so it is compatible form of development. It will add a modest number of dwelling units to the city's supply of housing. The lands are currently zoned residential single-family and two-family, R2 zone, and the configuration of the proposed lots conforms with those R2 zone requirements. The subdivision consists of 8 lots, which I outlined. These lots are compatible with the surroundings. There are a number of conditions of approval attached to the appendix. It's slightly shorter than our normal list of conditions, largely because the urban services and roadworks have already been completed. The current conditions require that there be a preparation of a subdivision agreement, as well as municipal servicing. Lot grading will have to be investigated. Parkland dedication will be taken as cash. So the development is found to be in conformity with the city's official plan and zoning. It will assist in providing housing choices over the short term, and the city's interests will be addressed through the conditions in Appendix A. Therefore, staff is recommending that Willoughby Gardens subdivision be draft approved, subject to the conditions attached to the report, that the mayor is designated be authorized to sign the draft plan as approved 20 days after giving notice of council's decision, that the draft approval will be given for 3 years, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the subdivision agreement once these earlier conditions are approved. Those are the highlights.
Thank you, Mr. Erlovich. Are there any questions of council for our director? Okay. Members of the public are advised that failure to make an oral or written submission at this public meeting could result in the Ontario Municipal Board dismissing any referral it receives if the party has not made an oral or written submission at the public meeting. Council will now hear from anyone other than the applicant who wishes to speak to the draft plan of subdivision. Is there anyone here other than the applicant? Okay, seeing none, council will now hear from the applicant or his or her representative.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City staff. As it's been proposed, we meet all the OP.
You can state your name.
Oh,
please.
sorry, I'm Noelle LaRocque. I'm from the LaRocque Group, representing our client tonight. We meet the OP, we meet the zoning requirements. We do have 2 requests with regards to the appendix on page 7. For consideration, please. Number 5, could we have it amended to say, or something that is satisfactory to the city for the geotechnical report? Could that be added to the amendment? It's a request.
Mr. Erlovich, did you want to comment on that?
It's the geotechnical report
Yeah.
because the road's in and things are already.
Right.
None of this is in the printed
Well,
report.
that may, I don't know whether our Director of Municipal Works is satisfied with that. It's a Municipal Works requirement.
Just a request.
But, I'm not quite sure why it's needed, but I don't know. I'd seek Jeff's clarification.
It's just the road already exists, the
I know what you're
development
saying.
had already been there, so he's just asking that.
Mr. Holman?
Mr. Mayor, we'd be willing to accept an update of the existing geotechnical report. The only thing that I might be concerned about, not so much about the infrastructure, but if the lot grading is going to change as a result of reconfiguration of the lots.
Okay.
We'd like to know how that might play out, or if the
Okay.
soils will be a factor.
Okay.
So an update to the report would be satisfactory.
Okay. The second request we have is for number 10. The developer provide the 1.8 meter high black vinyl fence. We're asking that it also be something that is satisfactory to the city, as they are considering putting up a nice fence along the back of the property for the houses as they're built, not just a chain link. So we're asking that that also be added, something that is satisfactory to the city.
Okay, Mr. Erlovich, did you have comment on that?
I think that would be satisfactory. Black vinyl or a fence suitable to the city would be fine.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. That's not a question, concern.
Okay. Any others?
That's all I have.
So you're good with it the way it is, just for those 2?
Just for those 2, please.
Okay, 2 issues. All right, are there any questions of council for the presenter? All right. public meeting with respect to the draft plan of subdivision is now concluded. Moved by Counselor Thompson, second by Counselor Kerrio. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, can you please introduce the next item on the agenda?
A public meeting is now being convened to consider a proposed amendment to the city's official plan and zoning bylaw to permit accessory dwelling units within detached and semi-detached dwellings and on-street townhouses. Notice was given by first-class mail in accordance with the Planning Act on July 21st, 2017, and by posting a sign on the property in question. Anyone who wants notice of the passage of the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment to participate in any site plan process, if applicable, or preserve their opportunity to appeal to the Ontario Municipal Board shall leave their name on the sign-in sheets outside the council chamber.
Yes, Councillor Thompson?
Yes, this is something we've discussed on several occasions before, and I didn't have a problem with it until I had a conversation with a resident who had some concerns, not about the accessory building in the back of an existing lot, but with the discussions that are going on now with Airbnb and or cottage rentals, that this could be a real concern and a problem. And I'm wondering, rather than deal with this now, if we could have the discussion with respect to accessory buildings go on at the same time with the cottage rentals. I think that would be a good opportunity to give us, the public, the opportunity, because I don't think the public really has the opportunity. I live in a townhouse anyway, so I live directly beside a lot of people. But would somebody who has a substantial home in a quiet neighborhood want to have a dwelling built in the back? I think that's pretty significant. And I don't know what the process would be, whether they would have to go through some kind of planning or zoning amendment. So I think this is a pretty interesting dilemma, and I think that there should be further dialogue and public input before we make a decision on accessory buildings. I supported the idea initially, but I think there has to be some definitive rules and regulations with respect to how somebody would accomplish that. And I think definitely there should be public input into that before we make that decision.
Mr. English.
My
Yep, thank you for that. Did you want to weigh in on that? Because I know we're going to be dealing with the vacation rental issue in the fall, but did you want to deal with that as it pertains to this?
I don't have a problem with the councillor's suggestion. Our staff is hoping to have a open house discussion on the cottage rental or vacation rental units. September 11th is the draft date that we're hoping to go to the public. Haven't heard yet whether that's been confirmed. We're trying to get through the summer period when many tourist businesses are otherwise engaged, so that was the reason for delaying that. But I certainly recognize the councillor's comments, certainly with City of Toronto, looking at vacation rentals, what they call short-term rentals. That their requirement is that Airbnbs be on properties or within the properties where the principal dwelling unit is. So there's some relationship back and forth between those, so I have no objection to that.
Okay, I've got Councillor Morocco and Iannoni.
Yes, Your Worship, thank you very much. I totally agree with Councillor Thompson. It was the same thing that I had a couple of calls as well. And actually, it's one of the things that I've asked for a report back after going to OSAM and listening to some of the concerns that they had. There was some huge sessions there that took place and how they dealt with vacation properties and Airbnbs. And I think that I had asked staff to even consider looking at Blue Mountain, as Blue Mountain said that they were more welcome to provide us with information on what they've done and how they're regulating it, because obviously it's not something that's going away. It's like the Uber cars and whatever transportation. It's like you can't keep chasing it. You've got to try and regulate it. So I think that we have to try and look at this. And I think that although they did indicate, the staff today, that it's kind of two different reports, I feel that it is hand in hand. It's pretty much the same. We're still talking about rental properties. Airbnb is mentioned in here, as well as vacation. And I think that they should be pretty much come together and as one, as Councillor Thompson said. So I fully support, if that's a motion that Councillor Thompson's putting out, that I will second that motion and have it heard altogether, so it is able to have public input into that as well.
So it could be a deferral of the report, right? Until,
Yeah.
but before he makes a deferral, you wanted to comment?
Sure, yes.
Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been asking Mr. Hurlovich for quite some time when this is going to come, because we're years behind allowing for, and I'm sorry, I have a problem, accessory dwelling units. We're years past when the province told us we were supposed to be doing this. And I remember an application came before us, and it became an issue, and it was a house down near Mountain Road. I think it was Mountain Road in Portage. And it was a family that wanted to build a house and an accessory house in the back, an in-law suite, but not attached to the unit. And at that point, we didn't have the ability to do that because we had no policies and procedures. That was 5 years ago. So we're into a time now where A, people can't afford houses. B, we're in the last 2 weeks, I don't know about you, maybe your office has been dealing with it also, but people being evicted from local motels because that's the only affordable place that they have to live. This report explains that with the shortage of regional housing and the 4-year wait, and the fact that when we allow these accessory buildings, it provides more affordable housing. You've got a list as tall as we are for people waiting to get into them. If I'm not mistaken, we have two people left at the topper who are still trying to find housing. They're being spread out through different different motels that will take them. So I guess I don't think we should defer it. And if we do defer it, I hope it's not very far from here. I think we're beyond having a terrible shortage crisis, and this is one of the things we can have that deal with the residents and how we can get some people into affordable housing without them having to get on a list. So I wasn't pairing it with anything Airbnb or tourism. I more wanted to find out, how do we deal with the issue we have with people who are living in the carriage house in the topper and have nowhere to go once they're told to get out. But one question I had on this is, does this, through you to Mr. Hurlovich, does this deal at all with rooming houses? Where it's not a motel and it's a home that becomes a rooming boarding house?
This report doesn't deal with that. I've drafted some terms of reference for a study which would address the motels that are used as boarding houses. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a separate study, and we have until April of next year to bring a report back. We expect that's the timeline for that. So that's a separate study and a different form of affordable accommodation outside of this, but yes.
A rooming house as opposed to something like the carriage house becoming short-term rental, weekly, monthly, but somebody who owns a house and wants to have it be, I guess that's an old term fashion, a rooming house, but.
But right now, our zoning bylaw allows someone to have 2 roomers or boarders, so they can rent out 2 rooms in their house now to anybody. Provide either a room or room with food or room with cooking privileges. Everybody's allowed that now if you own a house.
Okay, thank you.
Or occupy a house.
Okay, thank you. We have a study that's going to come back April. We have people who have to now live through an entire winter hoping that they can keep the rooms that they're living in, which are deplorable, or find affordable housing. So I hope this is something that we look forward into September moving quicker. And I can see you looking at Councillor Volpatti, who probably wants something to say on this.
Yeah, well, Councillor Volpatti, who who is our city rep on Niagara Regional
I'm aware of
Housing.
that.
What's that? Yeah. And obviously we have a huge shortage of affordable housing.
And
So-
we do. It's
and-
a
yeah, go
terrible
ahead.
situation. But on the Topper Motel, where our staff at Niagara Region have been working assiduously to make sure that nobody is left homeless there. This is on August the 17th. I got this message from Community Services who are dealing with this. 9 individuals wish to have assistance with finding housing. That's at the Topper. We have found 9 options in Niagara Falls, 2 options of 4 at one site and 1 single. So some of those who wish to stay together should be able to. Spayed cats are welcome at 4 of the units. Niagara Falls SPCA will take the dogs for 1 month for free until people can make other accommodations. These offers will be reviewed with residents tomorrow at the Topper, so that would have been last Friday. And then we will have an understanding of what work remains. The Topper is in Thorold, by the way. It is not in Niagara Falls, which makes absolutely no difference. These people are in need. And Fire is working on the site. And as far as I'm aware at this point, and this is with another email that I got on Monday, yesterday, there are 3 people who have been offered accommodation who are refusing to take it at this point. But Community Services continue to work with them. We have another motel in Niagara Falls, the 3 Diamonds, where there have been eviction notices, and these people have been offered accommodation as well. So nobody is going to be left homeless.
That's great, that's great. Counselor?
And that's fantastic, but the reality is we're moving them from motel to motel or to other housing that isn't home to them. I had one lady say to me, "This is not home. This is where I've landed due to circumstances nobody wants to know about, but this is not a home." So I guess I think this accessory dwelling report, that's something we need to move forward with that will help provide affordable housing. It will help keep families together for people who want to build in-law suites behind their house or in-law suites in their family room or however they want to do it. But it's certainly a step we can take forward to help residents.
Councillor Thompson?
I think making a decision on this without any other information, how would somebody accomplish this? What process would they go through? Would the neighbors have the opportunity for input? We have had nothing on this other than a report saying there's an opportunity because of the province had changed their guidelines to put in accessory buildings. At least we should have a report outlining how somebody would accomplish this, what process they have to go through, and give the opportunity for public input at a council meeting. So I would move that the matter be deferred until we at least have that.
Okay, got a motion by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Morocco, that this be deferred till we're ready to deal with it with the vacation rental issue and the updated information, how you would get how do you say it? The building, the extra building. Accessory building. Okay, so we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay, so that's approved with 1 opposed. So that one is deferred. The consent agenda. What is council's, we've passed, okay? A motion by Councillor Carroll, second by Councillor Strange, that we move the consent agenda. Councillor Campbell?
I'd like to remove 2017-40, road bridge rehabilitation.
Okay. Any other ones? Okay, we've of course already approved 2017-31 regarding the signs. Okay, so why don't we deal with that one first? So if you want to look it up.
Move the balance.
Okay, motion by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Morocco, that we move the balance of the consent agenda. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. And now we'll deal with MW 2017-40 Whirlpool Road Bridge Rehabilitation Tender Award.
Thank you, Your Worship. While I was at AMO, one of the organizations that were putting on displays was the Ontario Municipal Commuter Cycling Program. I did not know this, but I thought I would bring it back. Staff, I'm sure, might or might not be aware of it. But the province of Ontario is making available $42.5 million this year. Will be, and future years that funding will be determined based on availability. Funding is available to support up to 80% of the costs. My question is there anything going to be done on the bridge to accommodate the extension of the path to join up with the Niagara Parks?
So why don't we go to Mr. Holman for that one?
Mr. Mayor, short answer is no. This contract, which was put together last year, is to rehabilitate the structure at the moment. We still haven't determined exactly how we'll connect the end of the Lions Legacy Trail to the Niagara Parks Trail. You may recall Councillor Pietrangelo asked for a report on that, and that's forthcoming. The issue I think here is going to be, is Whirlpool Road going to be on our cycle route? Absolutely it will be, and we can accommodate bike lanes on that structure. There is a sidewalk, as you know, on the one side, which might prove to be problematic. But this contract here is intended to waterproof, clean the expansion joints, but not necessarily to address where the path or where the trail will be on the structure. That'll be the subject of a different study. But I have been told that we can accommodate bike lanes on the existing bridge deck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to move that report?
I'll move that report.
Okay, moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo for report MW 2017-40. We'll call the vote. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved unanimously. And on to communications and comments of the city clerk. The very first item, Canada Day celebration. There's a short video that we're going to play recognizing the highlights of this year's celebration. So we'll ask our clerk if he could cue it up. Wow, that was a good time. So the 3-day celebration from June 30th to July 2nd, that was the highlights that we just saw. And so what's the recommendation? Just for the information of council, is that what it was, to see the video? Okay. Okay, moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, second by Councillor Strange that we received the video. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. The Downtown BIA requesting a 1-year extension on the payment schedule for 2017-2018. For consider, okay, moved by Councillor Iannone, second by Councillor Morocco. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Prostate Cancer Canada requesting in the month of September be proclaimed Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Second. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? And that's approved. Innocence Canada requesting October 2nd be proclaimed as Wrongful Conviction Day in the city of Niagara Falls. Okay, moved by Councillor Strange, second by Councillor Campbell. All those in favor? Okay. Canadian Forces Snowbirds, letter of support sent from the Mayor's office for an upcoming performance in Niagara-on-the-Lake for September the 17th and the 21st. Moved by Councillor Morocco, seconded by Councillor Thompson. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. Canada Goat Open requesting a one-time waiver of fees for the event being held on September the 9th. Moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Pietrangelo. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. The Downtown BIA increasing the complement of the board. Yep, moved by Councillor Morocco, second by Councillor Iannoni. All those in favor?
Worship.
Okay, and that's approved. Yes,
I thought there were some people that wanted to speak on it.
okay, I didn't get any note.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought there were.
Was there someone to speak on?
No, it didn't. I'm wrong. That's fine. Thank
Okay.
you.
There was a memo sent out in the additions package yesterday, and in that memo it just explained the process as to what was taking place with the Downtown BIA. It listed the 10 nominees that were put forward, and then the 4 that the board was recommending. In my memo, I did state that we had received a couple of complaints. Both those complainants are in the gallery this evening, and it's was for council's consideration.
Well, we've already made the vote, guys. We've made the vote. I didn't know about this. Okay, Dreams to Beams fundraiser, local not-for-profit organization requesting support at council of their upcoming pasta dinner fundraiser October the 13th. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Strange, that we purchase a table for the fundraiser. All those in favor? That's approved. Transportation Services requesting the month of September be proclaimed as School Crossing Guard Awareness Month. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Carrio. All those in favor? And that's approved. Now we're looking for ratification of in-camera, Mr. Clerk. Right, just gotta read it.
It was ordered on the motion of Councillor Carrio, seconded by Mayor Diodati, that the recommendations from the August 22nd, 2017 meeting be approved as follows. There is a legal report 2017-15 for proposed conveyance of city-owned land, namely within the Montrose Business Park. Recommendation number 1 was that council accept the offer of 1882888 Ontario Incorporated as to Part 14 on Schedule A that was attached to the report, and that Edward Newesteg and Ruth Ann Newesteg as to Part 13 on Schedule A attached to the report to purchase the land shown on Schedule A, and that mayor and clerk and city solicitor be authorized to take whatever actions and sign whatever documents are required to complete the transaction.
Okay. You want to make the motion? Okay, moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Morocco, that we ratify the in-camera. All those in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous. Thank you for that. You always know it's the mayor's reports when everybody gets up to leave. This is a real quick one though, so don't go too far. Starting off with obituaries. Edward Eyre, father of Barbara Eyre of the Transportation Department. Heidi Wall, mother-in-law of Lisa Wall of our Finance Department, and Suzanne Patrick, retired employee of the Transportation Department. We pass along our condolences to the families of those who have lost loved ones. Thank you to council members for the following representation. Councillor Strange at the August Flower and Vegetable Show. Councillor Campbell at the Bingo AGM check presentation, the Canadian Coasters Car Club 50th anniversary, and G's Pizza and Wings grand opening. And to Councillor Morocco for the commemorative service for the Battle of Lundy's Lane and the 50th anniversary of Stevensville Lawn Service. A couple announcements. We did have Le Club des Chefs, which are the chefs of the world leaders of the G20, which is really interesting. So the chefs of all the G20 members, and the one I found interesting is, well, they're all interesting, but I asked the chef of Putin what it was like being the chef for him, what he was like. And he said, and this is the first time someone that's not Russian was allowed in the Kremlin. And it turns out he's from France, and he's the chef for Putin. And I said, was he difficult? And he said, no, he just really doesn't care that much about eating. It wasn't a big deal. I didn't ask him what happens. Yeah. So that was really interesting, having all the chefs of the world leaders here. Events we just recently had, the Chippewa Lions Park Improvement Project ribbon cutting. It's the second of 10 new park openings that'll take place this year. Fitting to open this on the 75th anniversary of the Chippewa Lions. So I was joined by Councilors Thompson, Morocco, Campbell, Crater, and Iannone. Heaters Heroes took place at Oaks Park a couple weeks ago, organized by Councilor Mike Strange and his team of volunteers. Congratulations on another successful event, Councilor. It was attended by councilors, of course yourself, Thompson, Campbell, Crater, and Peter Angelo. So great job, and the weather worked out good too. You got lucky there. You dodged one there. AMO, Association of Municipalities of Ontario. I was joined by Councilor Morocco and Campbell as we attended the annual event in Ottawa this year. It was a neat year to be in Ottawa for Canada's 150. Canada 150 signature celebration is coming up. 150 Fun Fest in the Falls takes place this Saturday, August the 26th at the Scotiabank Convention Center. The Family Fun Fest goes from 1 until 4 p.m. with food trucks, kids games, vendors, and fun for all, and a free community event. And then the Great Canadian Tailgate takes place throughout the day, and the 7 p.m. free Matthew Good concert takes place, and that's first come, first serve at the Convention Center. Also want to mention this weekend was the Steve Ludzik roast, where we roasted Dino Cicerelli. And it was a lot of fun, great event. Over like 1,000 people showed up for the event, so great to have that. And lastly, I want to mention this morning I hosted the new Prime Minister of Ireland. He was in town today, that's why I've got my green tie, I've got my green socks, and I was doing the Irish thing today. So maybe tonight I might even have Jameson's whiskey just to help celebrate the visit. What do you think? Not a bad idea? Just a reminder, back to school, be mindful of buses back on the roads and students walking. Wishing everyone a safe and productive week back to school, and a reminder that the next council meeting will be Tuesday, September the 26th. So we'll move along now on to resolutions. We've got a resolution here that Niagara Falls Council consider the Niagara Falls Oktoberfest at the Scotiabank Convention Center to be an event of municipal significance and support the provision of a special occasions liquor license permit for the event. Moved by Councilor Thompson, second by Councilor Peter Angelo. All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved. And now on to the bylaws. Yep, I'm good on that one. Okay. Okay, we're on to the bylaws.
Your Worship, I'll make a motion, and I'll also note that I probably should declare a conflict on 2017-97 as Councilor Crater.
Okay, so we've got a declaration of a conflict and moving of the bylaws, giving the bylaws a first reading. Moved by Councilor Peter Angelo, second by Councilor Carrio. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Hurlovich?
Yeah, there are three bylaws on the agenda, 2017, 91, 92, and 96. It would have to be deferred. Those all relate to the accessory apartments.
Okay, okay. So a motion by Councilor Peter Angelo, second by Councilor Carrio to give the bylaws a first reading with the exception of those three bylaws which have been deferred. Okay. All those in favor? Thank you for that.
So that will renumber our bylaws. There were two additions as well. There was an additional bylaw added for bylaw enforcement officers, and also one bylaw to authorize an execution of a transfer payment agreement respecting the Clean Water and Wastewater Fund. So we'll now be passing bylaws 2017-89 through to 2017-102, read a first time.
Looking for a motion of second and third reading, moved by Councilor Peter Angelo, second by Councilor Carrio. Yes, sorry, Councilor Crater?
Just had a question. With the first bylaw, 2017-89, can someone just explain to me what that, I think I do, but I just want to be sure I know what I'm voting on. Private, who can answer that from staff? Well, if they don't know, then how do I know?
Is that fire? Fire, what's that? Fire routes.
Bylaws for private roads where you have parking restrictions.
Yeah, Chief, did you want to weigh in?
I think, to your worship, I believe Councilor Thompson just explained it. Basically, every time we do a road or pass a road amendment, then we put parking restrictions on it. One of the council reports tonight was no parking on the one side, so we add that name of the street or a private roadway to the bylaw.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
So we'll call the vote. All those in favor, second, third reading? Okay, that's unanimous.
Bylaws 2017-89 through to 2017-102, read a second and third time and passed.
Okay, new business? Counselor Thompson, Morocco, Iannoni.
First of all, apologize for several things that I have to bring to your attention. The first one is a letter that I got in my agenda with respect to, and I'll pass this over, I had to rip the bottom part off for my own information. This is somebody complaining who walks down Clifton Hill every day for their exercise, I guess, and complaining about the despicable things that are going on without any control. And they're talking about people playing instruments and trying to collect money. I didn't think that was permitted, and they're bringing that to my attention. They're also talking about people just there sitting on the ground and with a hat out in front of them, looking for donations, and also apparently a lady that is there on a regular basis and at some times is laying right across the sidewalk with the tourists having to walk around. I can't believe that this is happening because Clifton Hill has their own security people, plus we have our police department. But anyway, I will pass that over to have it referred to the police department and see if in fact there is a serious problem. Have you heard anything about that, Vince?
No.
No? Apparently, pardon me? Maybe that's what the problem is, the casino units in St. Catharines. Anyway, there you go. The other one is, first of all, I want to compliment the clerk's department, Bill Mattson and Teresa Favreau. Had our agendas Wednesday, gives us an extra day to make phone calls and check things out. Exceptional job. Congratulations. Anyway, I was very happy with that. The other one I want to talk about is the Gerald Spencer, the new bylaw enforcement individual. I think he's doing an excellent job. I bother him every day, and he is really trying to do the job for us. I would like to find out if we have examined that department to determine if in fact they have enough people. I think that they are just so overloaded with complaints and problems because I talk with them every day and they are really stressed out. And I told them, anytime you need additional people to provide the service to the public, just let us know. We don't have a problem with that. So I would like to refer that to the CAO and particularly with that same comment to ask a report come back on how we can deal with the rat problem and the rat complaints, and to come back with a budget number that we can use the exterminator to go into private property to get this under control. I don't know what year it was, but we had to do it when I was here at City Hall. We were just inundated with complaints about rodents. And were you at the meeting with the health department?
Not with the health department, no.
No? Were you there? I was very surprised and disappointed with some of the comments that were made. And maybe you can find out through the regional chair. They said they would not go to a complaint about somebody with rats in the backyard. In a house, yes, because then it becomes a health department. That was never the case before. In fact, we used to go out and do an entire block to determine how many properties were affected and to try to do something about the problem. And we finally had to put a budget up where the city would send the exterminator in to do the job. But I think we got to get the cooperation of the health department in this issue. So I'd like to make a motion to refer that to staff to come back, and I would like maybe through you and Councillor at the region, if they would collectively see if we can't get the health department to be a little more helpful. I also had another one about bed bugs in a condominium, and they were reluctant to go out to do anything about it. I went right to the health department to talk to them, and now it's a bylaw enforcement issue. Well, that's what the health department told me, bylaw enforcement. Wow, what a change. A real step back in dealing with these things. Anyway, the rats, the bed bugs, refer to staff and report back how we can overcome this issue.
So
I'll make a motion to it, yeah.
Yeah, so why don't we, I was gonna suggest on the rat one, why don't we make a motion asking the region to get engaged? Because it is an issue outside. When that one gentleman, Mike Brown, had rats in his barbecue.
Yeah.
So you tell me
Yeah.
how that's not a health issue outside, right? You're eating off of this thing. So, well, you know, we should maybe, and you having your experience with the health department for all those years, I mean, why they'd step away from that? It's a step back, as you said. So a motion.
Mr. Mayor, there's a daycare next to it as well.
And a
Mr.
daycare
Brown's-
next door to it, wow. So motion by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Kerrio, that we ask the regional health department to take an active and engaged role in dealing with not just inside but outside rat infestation problems along with our bylaw department.
And cooperate with our bylaw enforcement
Right.
people.
So let's call that vote. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, that's unanimous.
Okay, apologize. We have this debate every year about the railway tracks in the city. There are 3 or 4 of them that are just unbelievable. The one on Stanley Avenue near Whirlpool Road. Oh my God, you have to stop and just sort of go over it. Another one on Kaler Road. There's, pardon me? Yes, well, but I haven't seen anybody else all summer long working on them. And I was told here at a meeting that we pay $60,000 a year to the railroad, and there's nothing being done. I think we have to engage our federal member of parliament in this issue and see if we can't get something done. Those 3 or 4 that I mentioned are deplorable. So I would make a motion that we really put an effort forth to try to get something done in these particular areas.
Real quickly, just before we do, Mr. Holman, do you have any feedback on those? Because you were the one, you deal with the CN, right, on these repairs?
Mr. Mayor, yes, we have. In fact, the Stanley Avenue one too was brought to our attention, and the region's put up some signs. It's really a matter of getting CN to come down and adjust the tracks and allow us to do the paving inside. We've got to get flagmen. It's a matter of coordinating. And they seem to be on a different schedule than we are.
There's no schedule.
But we can touch base again, and perhaps jointly with my colleagues at the region, we can kind of raise the profile and highlight the importance of working together on these things.
So motion by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Strange, that we ask, along with our counterparts at the region, CN, to come and repair the at-grade crossings that are in rough shape, including the ones you mentioned, Stanley, Kaler, and Drummond.
Yep.
Right, including those, highlighting those?
Yes.
Okay, we'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Yep.
Okay, and that's unanimous as well?
And well, the last thing, which...
Thank God, he's almost out of paper, guys.
Yeah. The last thing is the Chippewa Creek. I had the opportunity to be sitting out there for a couple hours right at the entrance coming out of the Niagara River. There always used to be wake signs, no wakes at the, as you come in and as you're going out, because there's docks, there's all kinds of young people on floats floating down there, and some of these boats go out there speeding. As soon as they get past the Whiteman Bridge, that's when they start to accelerate. And there used to be signs out there all the time. All the signs have gone. The Parks Commission used to have them just on their property as you go out to the parkway. They're all gone. And the speeding out there is unbelievable with the wakes. And somebody's gonna get killed or hurt floating down there with those boats. And not only that, how they affect the docks in the area. So I would like to see what we can do from the city's point of view, and also refer to the Parks Commission to do something about the proper signing for the wakes from the boats out there.
So, sure. So we'll ask the chief to weigh in on that one.
Your worship, Councillor Thompson, it comes under the board that the city owns. So the city has applied a few years ago for a vessel restriction on the Welland River. It is posted at 12 kilometers. Unfortunately, the Niagara Regional Police Marine Unit is the organization that polices that, and they're not there as often as they probably should be. So if I could be so kind, maybe we could get them to, if we could write and get them to enforce it further, and then I can take a look to see if we can do some better signage. But it does fall under us, under the vessel restriction.
Well, what about the Parks Commission on their property on the other side?
They were, we've been working with them, and last year they made all the signs for us, and we erected them in the Welland River itself. So there's one down by the boat club, just west of the boat club. There's one on the old railroad bridge, and we have been in conversations with trying to put one right at the abutment as you come back into the Welland River from the Niagara River. That one has not happened yet.
There used to be one right as you're coming in on the Parks Commission property.
Correct. We've been working with them to try and get them back up again.
Yeah, well, they're not there. And I like the idea of the patrol people being there to look at it once in a while, but the key element is signing. People usually see a sign, but if there's no signs, then they don't pay any attention.
So,
anyway.
so is there a motion with this one, or how do we, so motion?
Yeah, refer it to staff to see if
Okay.
we can do something about.
Okay,
the
so
concerns.
moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Carrio, that we refer the signage issue of speed on the Welland River to deal with that through the Niagara Regional Police and Niagara Parks Commission to get the proper signage put back up. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, and that's done. Thank you for that. And then the other one, the other issue is staffing, that's just to staff kind of thing, right? Yeah, okay. Directions to staff. Councillor Morocco and Councillor Iannoni. Any? Oh, yeah. Cam.
Thank you very much. I'll try to be brief here. Just a couple things I'd like to point out. First of all, at breast cancer awareness. So if you're out and about, I think you have an opportunity to support. There's pins in some of the banks, CIBC, and just support the breast cancer awareness. Also, too, just another thing too. I think when we were in Ottawa and about, it's been a pretty devastating week around the world there for Switzerland and Finland and terrorist attacks. It just kind of reminds us that no one's immune to things like that. So, you know, with all due respect, and you know, to take into consideration a moment to consider those people that lost their lives in terrorist attacks, and send a message that they're not welcome here. Another thing too is also when people have to suffer. I was actually at a conference too with paramedics and police, and we lost a police officer due to PT, post-traumatic stress disorder, who actually took her life and shot herself. So that was very sad. So we always have to consider that their jobs are not easy at all. So just some things just to touch base on. And then also back at home here, I did receive a report back on the Beaverton Boulevard about the stop. Carol Dion had asked me to come out there a while back, I believe, it's been some time now, and just stand there and watch the traffic go through that park. the report came back to me saying that everyone did stop at stop signs. I stood there for a good 45 minutes with Carol Dion. There is a signed petition. We actually didn't bring it. Maybe we should actually have it submitted from the neighbors there. 5 cars that came to a stop, 3 didn't. They just kept on going, rolling through. Right across the street is a park. I think they're just asking really to look at that. So I'm not sure who the staff person was that actually went there and said that everything was, you know, status quo and it was all good. They took some speed limit, saying that, well, maybe they did a little bit of speed. I have to tell you that some of the people that barreled through there should have had police there giving them tickets, because I'm sure they were up to 50 miles an hour in front of a park. So I don't know, maybe I'll have a conversation with Mr. Dren after council, and maybe we'll take another trip out there, and I would be glad to stand there with them and watch some of the traffic as they go by.
Okay, so is there
That's just a comment that I think I'll actually deal with.
follow up with Carl directly on, and you guys can deal with that? Okay, all right, thank you for that. Councillor Iononi, and then Campbell and Carrier.
Thank
and
you.
then
I
Peter
have 3 things, Mr. Mayor, I'll try to be quick. First of all, we made a motion to invite Ben Harper, NHL player, to come to council so that we can honor him for being a hometown boy making the NHL. I know he was at the event the other night, Parkinson's event. Have we issued that invitation yet?
Nothing has been sent from the clerk's office.
So who would do that?
Yeah, it was discussed at council review.
It was a motion and passed.
And I would have to look at what department that was assigned to it at the time.
Okay.
I don't
Could
even
it be
recall.
your office?
Oftentimes it is, but I don't remember specifically. What was the motion?
The motion was that we invite him here and celebrate the fact that we have a hometown boy who made it to the playoffs and has not been recognized yet. We recognize everybody else, and it was just.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And so I wondered why. I know that he was at the NHL event the other night, so I thought that would have been perfect if it would have worked.
Do we have a motion right now?
Yeah, the motion
Okay,
was passed that
okay.
night. The second thing I want to raise is in today's Toronto Star, because we've been working with people who are homeless and trying to find housing, and there's a very interesting article. It's called "Home Sharing is a Solution for Senior Housing." And it's a Halton and Northumberland launched a home share program that strives to allow seniors to stay in their homes by matching them with a person who needs housing. And they're running it through 2 municipalities here in Ontario, but there's other municipalities in Canada that are doing it, and it's from a pilot project that was very successful in Vermont. I'd like to make a motion that there's actually a home sharing toolkit in here that shows municipalities how to do it. So I'll send that to staff. I'd like to make a motion that staff bring back a report and see if maybe we can partner with the region and work at something proactive and positive that's working in other communities, and it's kind of out of the box solution.
Okay, so motion by Councillor Iononi, second by Councillor Morocco, that we try to, how do we say this, implement a program of house sharing in the region? Is that what we're saying? Similar.
To look at the home sharing program that's taking place, that they just launched in Halton, and that's been, Burlington's using it, Northumberland's using it, there's a number of other municipalities using it. If it works for them and we don't have to recreate the wheel and it helps residents who need housing, I think we should look at it.
Yeah, I read that story recently too, and how they said some people can't afford a home, it gets them into a home, and some seniors can't afford to stay in their home, gets them more income, so everybody can.
And it gets them companionship and safety, and there's a whole criteria. It tells you the rules on how it's done. It's not for everybody, but if we can maybe launch something like that, I think it's something we desperately need.
So, motion by Councillor Iononi. Oh, wait, we did that, did you already second it? Yes, second by Councillor Morocco. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. Councillor Campbell, then Carrier, and Peter Angelo.
Yes, Your Worship, there's a leak in the ceiling. This cord box got wet. I moved it so it didn't get wetter, so I just want to point that out if anybody's going to be moving it around.
Thanh you for that.
And there's also a leak in that window there.
Okay. As you know, these are all temporary windows right now.
That's really temporary.
Well, that's very well, yeah. So we got all new windows, new cladding. Like, we're under major construction here right now at City Hall, so it's it can get drafty at times. It gets hot at times. It'll be nice when it's done. So thank you for pointing out the
But
leaks.
that could be dangerous. I'm not fooling.
Councillor Carrier.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Thompson has already acknowledged the clerk's department for the, getting us our packages quicker. But I'd also like to make a comment that this is the last week or the last meeting with papered agendas. I think it was some years ago that I had asked for us to go paperless and go to having everything put on the computer. And next meeting will be our first meeting without paper. It will be completely paperless. Thanks again to Ken Todd and his staff, Bill, Teresa. I know it's been a lot of extra work, but it'll be a great addition to the council. We'll get our things even faster, and as the reports are being done, we'll get them so we won't have to get everything at the last minute a couple of days prior to the meeting. We'll get it as quick as the other staff gets it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll all get these new paperless agendas. Councilor Pietrangelo.
Thanks, Your Worship. First question I had was just in regards to the property that's at the corner of Lundy's Lane and Montrose. I know council has discussed many times what we're actually going to do with it. And one of the ideas was to create a columbarium. Another idea was to support the BIA. Another idea was simply just to sell the property. I think this goes back a couple of years now that we were supposed to receive a staff report and finally make a decision, because right now the building is just sitting there dormant. So my question simply was through you to staff, just to ask for when we're going to receive a report back.
What, are you going to answer the question? The old Parks and Recreation building.
No, I think the plan that they came in with the columbarium and more plots and everything was perfect. And the BIA supported that, because what are you going to sell that? Are you going to have a pizzeria there or something next to your?
No, I'm asking when a staff report is going to come back.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We should have moved on with that a long time ago.
So you want a pizzeria there?
No.
Okay, we'll ask our CAO if he could weigh in on where we're at.
I believe, Mr. Mayor, the last, we had a report here a while ago and it got deferred back to have staff go out and investigate if there was any other individual out there that may be interested in it. That's taken place. Mark Richardson has had some other projects going on with the cemeteries of late, but our goal is to get that report back this fall before you.
You give it to Bill and Teresa.
This fall, give it to Bill.
Give it to, yes, Mr. Beeman?
Okay.
The last time we came on, one of the obstacles that we'll have to deal with, depending on what we determine to do with the building, is that it's designated, it's got a historical designation, so that's one of the things we'll have to deal with as just warrant council. That's one of the issues we'll have to deal with as we go forward.
Well, that's what I recall, that our last step was we were gonna undesignate it so that we could actually rip it down or sell it or whatever, but we couldn't as long as that was hanging on
Yeah,
that
that
building.
was what it just, and Councilor Pietrangelo probably examined the record better than I have, but I thought we were at a stage where there'd been a decision to go ahead with one of Mr. Richardson's suggestions, provided we could lift the historical designation. So we have a report for that.
Well, he wants Pierangelo's Pizza.
No, we didn't decide to undesignate it.
No, the report would have to come forward to propose that in order to put the matter forward. We had not yet, I agree completely, we had not made any formal motion to de-designate.
Yeah. I want to know when the staff report's coming back this fall.
This fall?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Your Worship, my second issue is in regards to the old casino parking lot at the corner of the Niagara Veterans Memorial Highway and Stanley Avenue. So it would be on the southwest side. When you look at that parcel of land right now, it's quite deteriorated. It's obvious that the province, if they still own it, are not doing anything with it. It's a beautiful gateway into our community. Could become a fantastic parking lot for the people mover, should they actually let us use it or even let us acquire it. I would like that perhaps your office could draft a letter asking them that if they're not going to use it, that at least they consider either giving it or selling it to the city so that we can use it for our purposes.
You talking about the one in Stanley?
Yes.
Okay.
Stanley and,
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It used to be the old parking lot for the casino.
Right.
And it's full of cracks and weeds and everything else now. So it's a perfect piece of property for the city to actually do something with. Or it could be a people mover stop and we could have a parking lot there so that we'd have less cars in the park. But I guess we're never gonna know until we actually write a letter to the province or talk to them about acquiring the property.
So then, motion by Councillor Pietrangelo, that, second by Councillor Thompson, that we send a letter to the province inquiring about them giving or selling us those parking lots if they don't intend to upkeep them.
I'd be happy, Your Worship, if you went there, had a meeting with someone, either or.
Okay, so we've got the motion, all those in favor? Okay, good, that's unanimous. Okay, good. Any other new business? Okay, adjourn, yes, Councillor Carrier?
Oh, one quick one, Your Worship, just came to mind after I heard some of the comments on the table. A follow-up log. We should be looking into a follow-up log, you know, considering what Councillor Pietrangelo asked, Councillor Ioannoni asked. We should have a follow-up log similar to what we have at the Parks Commission.
Didn't we
So
have
maybe
one? SMS?
we talked about it before, so maybe we just.
Yeah, we had one. We should have
Yeah, but it should be something that, you know, when somebody asks something, there's a motion passed, there's a date, and then every so often we get a copy of it, whether it's once a month or every other month, that where that is on the action item.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll leave that with staff.
Okay, great. Looking for a motion for adjournment. Moved by Councillor Morocco, second by Councillor Thompson. All those in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you.